Hello, and welcome to Movie Pod, the podcast about movies. I'm your host, Brian Wishart, and this week I'm joined by Anna to discuss the Zucker, Abrahamson Zucker disaster comedy spoof movie Airplane from 1980. How are you doing, Anna?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Pretty good. We're recording this episode a little bit early because I'm going to be off at TIFF in a couple of days for a big stretch of time. So, so whatever comes up in the news, I'm not sure how topical we're going with news stuff overall, but it's going to be outdated by the time 2 weeks rolls around when this episode comes out.
Well, it would have been really topical like 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah. But thankfully things appear to have calmed down, so it's a little less topical nowadays.
Yeah, also like there's all the stuff like all these airplanes flying over the sky and everything, and like I'm not sure if it's still a thing anymore. Like,
I mean, commercially we seem to have gone back to where we were originally, like before the big crash in DC. And I know there was a lot of other incidents. There was the one in Toronto, and I think there was the one in Korea. And
the Toronto one was nuts. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, because that one's like,
how did that lose its wing? Like,
yeah, that one was like upside down, and they were letting people out of the seats upside down. Yeah, it was pretty nuts.
Where was that one big crash where like everyone died where one guy just like walked off because he had like a window seat?
Oh yeah, that was the India one.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That one was insane. I don't think they know what happened. I think the current thought is it's either like bird strike or intentional grounding. So they're not sure. Could go either way at this point, but yeah. That one was insane.
It's a miracle that planes stay in the air. It really is. Like,
yeah, seriously.
Engineering, the fact, and also like surely all the stats say like air travel is like the most safe form of travel there is. Like, just like there's a low risk of fatality compared to like driving a car, like being on like a bus or something. We're trying to make sure to laugh and stuff. This isn't gonna be a whole dour thing about how like like fear of the airplane. Like, no, like fly planes. Planes are fun. Like, it's fun to go around them. It's not comfortable being a plane though, but it's kind of cool when you think about like, fuck, I'm flying over like half of a country right now.
Yeah, and so I specifically chose airplane because I find myself on a lot of planes, going around visiting family. My family is pretty scattered all over the world, and I've spent a lot of my life surprisingly on airplanes. So yeah, it's something that I really enjoy and is pretty near and dear to me. And so. Yeah, it's also just a fantastic movie.
Yes, you came to me with the topic before the movie overall. You said like you wanted to come on and talk about in-flight movies. It's like, well, like kind of focus on a movie, but like you say, okay, fine, let's do Airplane. Like, perfect. So like, Airplane is a really joke-heavy movie and very plot light overall. So like, I think this episode of movie Pod's gonna be different than the rest, just because we're going to be like, you can go beat by beat when it comes to the movie. Like, oh yeah, this joke happens here, this joke happens here, because a lot of visual gags, a lot of like a lot of sight gags in the movie, but it was really hard to do on like an audio podcast. So like, I feel like having a good special topic is going to make this conversation go really, really well, because like otherwise it's going to be like, oh yeah, like then Leslie Nielsen said this and then Leslie Nielsen said that, and then there was like a naked woman ran around a plane for a bit. Like,
right. Yeah, definitely. To me, this occupies a very similar space to like The Simpsons, where the plot serves to drive the jokes rather than the other way around.
100%, yeah. And so like big thing about talking about this movie and the plot though is that this movie is based on a movie called 0 Hour, which I watched.
Did not know that.
Oh, you didn't know?
You brought it up. No, yeah, until you brought it up, and then I almost watched it, couldn't really find an easy way to do it, and decided I wasn't going to try that hard because I kind of enjoy when you are talking at me about movies. So would love to just hear this going in kind of blind. I'll probably try to find this later, but yeah.
It's on. I found Internet Archive, so like it is out there, but like not like the best quality. But yeah. So 0 Hour with the exclamation mark, just like Airplane. 0 Hour is based on a Canadian TV film, like a teleplay called Flight into Danger. It stars James Doohan, Star Trek's Scotty. He's the hero in the movie. And it's the exact same plot. 0 Hour and Flight into Danger and Airplane are the exact same plot, where it's about some, ex-wartime pilot there who has some trauma, some mission. He was flying back during the war and everything. He's afraid to fly a plane. And then he's on some like big flight there trying to get back his girl. And there's some bad food served on the flight there, and the pilots get incapacitated, and he has to be told by his mentor back from the war and everything and how to land the plane.
Oh my god. Okay. So
And
that's insane that it's like a direct beat for beat parody.
it's a direct beat for beat parody to the point where they actually like bought the I think they spent like $25,000 on the rights for 0 Hour, so they can actually copy like legit full lines of dialogue from 0 Hour are in this movie, and like complete like shots of the movie are taken from 0 Hour. They legitimately, for Airplane, they would have 0 Hour like a tape of it playing nonstop in the background, and they needed ideas like how you're gonna shoot the shot. Like, well, like let's just steal a shot from 0 Hour and like have it like, you know, pan down this way, or have like do this exact scene. Like this movie's also parodying a lot of other disaster movies from the time, because like the airport movies were huge around this point in time. Airport written by and it was an Arthur Haley and Alex Haley. One of them wrote Roots and one of them wrote Airports, so I can get it right.
Okay.
Three different stories.
Yeah.
Arthur Haley is the guy who wrote Airport.
Okay.
He's not the guy who wrote Roots.
Yeah.
The guy who wrote Airport, he also wrote the screenplay for 0 Hour. So this is kind of his like you know, he's really big in the disaster genre. So this is parodying a lot of like big movies that around that time are just like these self-serious big disaster movies. It's written and directed by a comedy group that goes by Zucker, Abrahams, and Zucker. Jim Abrahams and David Zucker and Jerry Zucker, who are brothers.
Okay.
They had a comedy theater they called the Kentucky Fried Theater. They would later create the Kentucky Fried Movie in 1977, which I have not seen.
I haven't seen it either. I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, I've heard decent things about it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the trio, what they would do to get ideas for... they did a lot of commercial parodies in their comedy bits, so they would record late-night television for ideas. And one night they unintentionally recorded 0 Hour off of TV, and they were watching like, oh, like this is a good like medium, good conduit to like make some comedy off of it. And like thought like their initial plan was that 0 Hours that they're going to like parody here and have a lot of commercial parodies within the movie itself. So probably a lot of like in-flight entertainment things would have like some commercial like, you know, side tangents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of see it at the end of the movie with the news segments, like, you know, having like, you know, news broadcasters make jokes here and there. So that's probably what they're going for like, you know, it makes sense for a sketch comedy troupe to do this. But they're eventually convinced to like drop all the commercial parodies. 0 Hour is the exact same plot as Airplane. I found this one link online where it actually has like the entire screenplay for Airplane, but it has every time there's a line that's directly ripped off from 0 Hour, it's bolded. So like, you notice how a lot of this movie's dialogue is right from 0 Hour.
Yeah.
Like significant scenes, like every major like scene when it comes to like anyone having a good emotional moment, it's usually from 0 Hour, but then they just like punctuate with some really funny dialogue or some funny sight gag.
Okay. Cool. That actually sounds really awesome. I would really like to see that.
Yeah, like, and I can't think of any other movies where it actually just like directly parodies the material to the point where like, it actually has the exact screenplay and exact plot in there. Usually, like a spoof would just kind of do its own thing. Like thing like Spaceballs and Star Wars, they're not ripping off entire stretches of dialogue.
Right. It honestly kind of reminds me almost of like in early days, like YouTube poop, if that makes sense. Or like when people would do like those abridged like anime things, and there would be like a disclaimer like they actually said this. This is real dialogue from the show.
I like watch like I didn't watch like much. I watched some Dragon Ball as a kid. I watched some Dragon Ball Z, but not enough to like, you know, be truly attached to it. I think I was more of a Dragon Ball kid overall. But like I watched like a lot like in high school. I had some friends that were really into YouTube poop, so like we would like load them like my Nintendo Wii on YouTube at parties and like, watch all these like YouTube poop videos.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Dragon Ball Z like abridged stuff. Like it was like, oh, this is actually from it. I'm like, wow, this show is insane. Like, what was I watching as a kid?
Yeah, no, seriously. I did want to kind of go back to something really quick that it did remind me of something. You mentioned that this movie 0 Hour exclamation point is like set in Canada and is based off of this like Canadian TV movie or whatever. Do you guys, because you're Canadian, that's why you're going to TIFF, do you guys have like this weird obsession with plane crashes? Because there is a show called, I think, Air Crash Investigation, I want to say. There's some show that's about like plane crashes, and they do these dramatizations about like like plane crash, and they hire this like animation studio to do these CGI like recreations of the plane crashes, and that's Canadian, and like it's broadcast on the Smithsonian Channel in the States, and I only know about it because when I go home, my dad, it's a very much a dad show, so my dad's very frequently watching it at home. Like I come home and they're like, doing chores, and like it's just on in the background. And I looked it up, and it was Canadian, and I'm like, do you guys, like, what is with you guys in plane crashes?
Honestly, truly, that kind of show is not in my realm at all. Like, there's, like, those shows like Ice Truck Highways and such, 401 Rescue, like, all these, like, dramatic reality shows happening, like, here in Canada and stuff, and, like, they're just not my cup of tea at all. Like, I, like, drive the 401 a lot, like, the 401 Highway, so, like, seeing 401 Rescue is so funny, because, like, it's, like, all these people, like, everything's so dead serious, like, of course, because people are in car crashes and stuff, and all these rescue workers, but, like, in my mind, like, I don't know, like, I don't watch reality TV shows really at all, and it's so funny to me, because, like, all these reality TV shows, they have the exact same music, the exact same commercial break stuff, the exact same dramatic beats and everything every single time. So, for me, like, I find, like, that's why I'm not into them, because they feel like I'm watching the exact same thing. Like, I could be watching Deadliest Catch and 401 Rescue, and they have the exact same dramatic beats every single time.
Yeah, or like Alaskan Gold Rush or whatever. Yeah, they're literally the same thing. So I get it. Yeah.
So like, it's not really my realm, but like those shows are popular up here. Like they do pop up on TV a lot. I never heard this one specific plane crash one directly, but they are big shows and stuff, and like and I guess, like, I know there's a lot of stuff out there when it comes to, like, the mysteries, like that Malaysian flight 370. And, like, so my favorite TV show of all time is Lost. I love the show to death. And, like, so, like, there is, like, something that partially intrigues me about, like, these, like, unexplained mysteries out there, too. But, like, I feel like there's so much speculation about what could happen to the unknown that, like, I remember the specific point where I stopped watching cable news. It was when that plane went down, because like they're doing wall-to-wall coverage on like CNN and MSNBC and stuff, but like, like, here's what's going on with this plane there. I'm like, well, like, they're probably gonna find an answer, but they dedicate like a full month or 6 weeks of nonstop wall-to-wall coverage, but like, what's gonna happen to this plane there? And I was like, oh well, like, sometimes you just are never gonna know these things, and it's improper journalism to actually dedicate all the time to when there's other things to talk about in the world.
Yeah, and I remember that one specifically because they were doing all these off-the-wall, like, theories, like, what if they got swallowed into a black hole? It's like, you guys are CNN. Like, what the heck?
That. And I was like, are you... I think that's the point where I was like, I'm fucking unfollowing CNN and every one of these things on my socials, because, like, you are the dumbest people on the planet. Like, if you bring that... If a black hole swallowed in one plane, then we'd all be dead. Like, it wouldn't even be...
Like, I think we would have noticed if there was a black hole in Earth's atmosphere that could swallow a plane, Yeah.
It's so it's so baffling. And, like, but, like, yeah, people love, like, and I think that goes with disaster movies, too, is, like, people, like, especially around this time, like, in the 70s and 80s, like, when disaster movies became really big again, is that, like, people kind of love to see, like, like, people under pressure, complete catastrophe, people trying to solve the problem and everything. So there is, like, some human instinct that really wants to figure out exactly what happens with this stuff. And I feel like the disaster genre isn't really much of a thing anymore. Like, I'm trying to think what the last major disaster movie was. Like, I
feel like they're usually B movies. Like, does Twisters count as a disaster movie?
I would count that. Yeah. Twisters would count that. Yeah, it's not.
I'm thinking of, like, that kind of crappy ass movie 2012, and they started that viral marketing campaign. Yeah, the movie's so dumb, but they did this whole viral marketing campaign.
Disaster movies, yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like they don't have, like, the same, like, prestige and, like, like, almost something like Towering Inferno in the 70s, which was up for Oscars, starring O.J. Simpson.
Wait, really?
Yeah, O.J. Simpson in Towering Inferno. And, like, that's almost, like, the same prestige, almost. It was treated when it comes, like, it didn't win as many awards as Titanic, but like Titanic in the 90s, when that was like the big disaster movies. But that was like Titanic itself was like a callback to like the epics of old and like the disaster movies of old.
Yeah, and similar to your like Watching People Under Pressure, I think also in the 90s was Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks. That movie,
yeah, that kind of a disaster movie too.
Yeah,
and like I feel like what Airplane's doing is like as a movie is parodying all these things back then, like. it's parodying a genre that like doesn't really exist anymore, which kind of makes it really funny that like we don't have this genre. So we just have Airplane there, but like there's so many movies that like that's parodying itself. Like I went through all the airport movies several years back, 'cause I found one on DVD, and like they are so fucking goofy and funny. Like they get worse and worse. It's just like the Jaws sequels. They get worse and worse as they go along. It's funny watching a parody of something that like does not really exist anymore, because now I think Airplane is more culturally significant than any of these airport movies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think like Airplane like stands alone. Like before I got here, I wouldn't have known that it was a parody of those specifically. I basically thought it was like just like what can we do to put these characters in as confined of a space as possible, and how many jokes can we make out of that?
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't have the context. This is also similar to like movies like Spinal Tap or whatever, where there's spoofing like another thing that doesn't exist outside of like dad television, of like the music biopic, which I know is having a quote unquote renaissance with some kind of miserable movies and Bohemian Rhapsody and like
Oh god, yeah.
what's the other one? There was another one that was kind of mediocre, or there's been a bunch that are pretty mediocre.
I'm a huge hater of musical biopics, so like what I consider mediocre, people consider masterpieces. Like I don't like A Complete Unknown. I don't like Elvis. Like
Yeah, I think Elvis is the one I was thinking of that was like pretty mid, but everyone watched anyway because it's about Elvis. So I guess that one's kind of a bad comparison, because that's sort of coming back, and the disaster movie is definitely the realm of the B movie nowadays.
And like Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story with that John C. Reilly, that's kind of the parody of those movies. I think it's the perfect parody of biopics in general, is because it's just like completely skewers the entire format of like this person like saw this like one like they saw the guitar story and everything. They completely changed their lives and everything, and it's the exact same format that all these movies follow. It's just so generic that like sports movies do the exact same thing as well. I think biopics always fall in the exact same traps of making these very generic kind of movies, and I think disaster movies became extremely generic eventually, because like they were really overdone by the time Airplane came around. And when like Airplane starts off, like so Airplane starts off with, we see like a bunch of clouds. We hear the Jaws theme start up, and we see like a plane like going through the clouds at the tail of it. So like it has the proper John Williams music. Jaws is a disaster movie too. Like I saw Jaws early in theaters today. Like that was only like 5 years before this movie. So like people were always like, this is very much on the mind of the 1970s going to the 1980s. Like this kind of specific movie of like the big spectacle movies of the 70s were often like these disaster movies, these big movies where like some inciting incidents happens. Like this is before like Superman came into existence for like theatrically, and like became like, this is what we kind of make movies off of. It's like the buddy cop movies, the 80s, the sci-fi movies like Aliens in the 80s. Like this is like the kind of thing. This is like almost like what it would be like if you were trying to parody like an MCU movie, would be parodying a disaster movie.
Yeah, that's super cool, and that's really great context to add to it. So yeah, I think that leads pretty well into like getting into it. The last thing I'm going to say is I didn't realize that ZAZ made the Naked Gun movies.
Oh yeah,
the original ones. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they really lucked out getting Leslie Nielsen in this movie.
Yeah. Which he's awesome in it, and I know it's been beaten to death that like this is the first time he did like comedy, but like really he was a natural at it, and so
this is the first time a lot into comedy too, which we'll get into as well as we introduce the characters, because like they picked people because they were considered serious dramatic actors, and like they all seem to be itching to be part of a comedy, because like I don't know, like from like what I hear about actors, like actors don't like being pigeonholed into one specific thing. Like they kind of like to branch themselves out, and kind of like if you're like truly love your art, you kind of want to try different things.
Yeah, well, so I mean, the obvious current example of that is Giancarlo Esposito, who they inserted into an MCU movie to be Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
And like he's been typecast ever since Breaking Bad, but you watch like some of his older stuff, and that dude's funny. Like he is such a good actor, and I really feel like they're wasting him in a lot of these newer things. Last note about that before we get into the movie about Giancarlo Esposito, and that is the fucking Payday 2 like trailer. They included him in an update, and they basically parodied the fact that he's Giancarlo Esposito and everything.
That, yeah.
And he's like, I need my payday too. And like just smiles at the camera. But I guess like going on these like parody things is that didn't kill poor Giancarlo Esposito's having to be Gus from Breaking Bad and everything, which is really unfortunate because I hope he finds his airplane or his Naked Gun where he gets to just do silly shit again.
He's like dead serious, but also pretty campy and fun, and Megalopolis.
Okay, I have not seen that still because
Megalopolis is nuts. Like it's most people hate it, but I admire it because it's like a director doing a very, very weird swing.
That one is another great, like, we can get into it where I'm pretty sure that one I saw, I think it's this one where it's either it's like a touring movie on Broadway or you can see it on like American Airlines long haul flights.
Yeah, that's it. You cannot watch Megalopolis on a streaming service. You have to go like either see where Francis Ford Coppola is screening it, or you have to like watch it like on a specific airline flight.
Yeah, that's nuts. I love it.
Speaking of Giancarlo Esposito, I was thinking of like movies he's been funny in, but one movie he's actually really funny in is it's a 2020 movie called Unpregnant. It has who is it? Haley Lou Richardson and Barbie Ferreira from Euphoria.
Okay.
It's like an abortion drama where Haley Richardson's trying to get an abortion. So it's it's a dramedy, full-out dramedy. And it was like 2020. I watched this on a flight to Saskatoon, I think, to visit my sister. and like very funny movie. And like Giancarlo Esposito, like it starts off like they run into him like he's like, you know, some sort of like hardcore, like, you know, almost like a militia type person. But he plays it so damn funny. Like he actually gets like, you know, show off some comedic chops.
Nice.
Which is like very refreshing because like I think it was like he was right in the middle of doing Better Call Saul at this point in time too, so like he was still in the Gus Fring mode.
Right. Yeah. No, I'll definitely go see if I can find that somewhere. That sounds.
Unpregnant's really good. I really like that one a lot. Like there's also that movie came out as well as a movie called Plan B with similar premise where some young woman gets pregnant and she wants to get an abortion, but interstate it's like. She cannot get the abortion, so like she has to go across state lines, so they're gonna road trip with a friend, but like, you know, they don't get along kind of thing. For that, yeah, like very, very good movies. And I watched Unpregnant, I believe, on a WestJet flight.
It's pretty crazy the sort of things they have. We can kind of lead into that now, unless you want to get into the movie. But
let's get into the movie a little bit too, because we only got to the Jaws part of it so far.
Yeah, we have the first 5 seconds covered.
All right, we got the first 5 seconds covered. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper, and then we'll kind of wait off a little bit. Yeah, so we see at an airport, Ted Stryker, who's a taxi driver, arrives, and he's chasing after his girlfriend. So he leaves his taxi fare behind, like he's just like leaving some guy just jacking up the fare and everything. So he's chasing after his girlfriend, who's a flight attendant named Elaine, and Ted's played by Robert Hayes, who has not had that significant of a career. Like he's in stuff, but like not like, you know, anything really that prominent. Elaine's played by Julie Haggerty, and she's popped up in a lot of things over the years. Like she was in She's the Man, Marriage Story. She's also voices Lois's sister in Family Guy.
Okay, yeah.
So she does some voice work too, which is fun. And so she wants to end things with him because she cannot live with a man she does not respect. Which is a line from Zero Hour. Like that is fully from Zero Hour. It's like not just like it's such a brutal line to say to someone you're breaking up with them.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna ask.
That's from the 50s movies they're parodying. And so Ted's been unable to get into a plane ever since the war. So he has some dark trauma. And it's funny with this one because like with 1980, the kind of the thing you would think of like maybe the war is like the Vietnam War, but it's just the vague past war. It's not like Zero Hour or that Canadian telefilm there, whereas like clearly it's supposed to be World War II because it's been so long. But like this is just some vague war that happened in the past.
Yeah, my partner and I were actually commenting on it because at the time it came out, obviously it was Vietnam, and you know they could have gone like the Vietnam War parody route, but no, it was just kind of like the war as this nebulous thing. Like a lot of it looks kind of World War II aesthetic, but then like I guess I don't know what it's called. Like it's not shore leave, but you know what I mean, like land leave. Is that what
That's
it's called when you're
Vietnam
in the Air Force?
looking,
But yeah, it looks very Vietnam.
The first true joke of the movie, you hear over like the intercom there, like a man said, like, you have to park in the white zone, and like only this kind of car park in the white zone. And a woman was like, oh, like only this car can park in the red zone. And there's bickering back and forth over each other, and I guess the point where it's like, like we know this is really about you just want me to get an abortion. Like, well, it's a sensible thing to do.
Yeah.
And so those two, they couldn't get the proper voice actors to do that, so they actually hired the people that were like working like, oh, I think it might have been LAX, something like that. So like two actual people who were married who worked at an airport together.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that's great. That's why it's so good.
And the dialogue about the abortion scene directly is like lifted from some other disaster movie. It's not like they were talking about their own abortion, like them being the workers, being his husband, wife, and everything. That dialogue's lived like, oh, it's a sensible thing to do. Like that's
yeah,
from a
you can
different
tell
disaster
it's
movie.
of its time because they still had abortions.
Yeah,
right after Roe v. Wade.
Yep. Mm-hmm. we get introduced to some other people who are involved in this movie too. So we get introduced to Peter Graves, who plays the pilot, Captain Clarence Over. Graves is another actor who's picked because of all his serious roles. He's actually best known for playing Jim Phelps in Mission Impossible, the TV show. And that's the character that John Voight plays in the first movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And a lot of Mission Impossible fans hated that first movie because they turned him into the villain.
Yeah.
Turned the nice guy into the villain. So Captain Over gets a call from the Mayo Clinic, which of course, because it's a parody movie, is stocked with like, there's so many shelves like full of mayonnaise, and there's a live beating heart on the table ready to be transplanted into a little girl. So there's a nice ticking time bomb we have for this plane to actually arrive someplace. The pilots are getting us ready to flight, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar plays the first officer, Roger Murdoch, which he's so fucking funny in this movie.
He's fantastic in this movie. I have a personal soft spot for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because he actually spoke at my college graduation. It was in COVID, so I got a video of him. But I was like, "Hey, it's the guy from Airplane."
Not from Basketball, Airplane.
Yeah. Well, obviously, they're introduce him as the GOAT, and it's also probably could have done acting more if he really wanted to. He's so funny in this movie. He's honestly a highlight of that scene. Is I know everyone quotes what the pilot's saying to the kid, but legitimately, just you try dragging their asses up and down for 60 minutes is so fucking funny.
Yeah. Anna and me are in the same fantasy football league together, and right now we're getting some football talk because in Zero Hour, that part was played by a guy named Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch.
That's a great sports name.
So he's a Hall of Famer halfback in the NFL.
Oh my god.
So in 1945, he drafted 5th overall. He played most of his career with the LA Rams. He broke the receiving record in 1951 with 1,495 yards.
Wow.
And that's was 12 games in the NFL.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So he broke a ton of records. Some have not been broken until relatively recently.
Yeah.
A halfback in the NFL, it's insane how much they were to catch back then.
Yeah. No, that's insane. I actually did not know that. So that's
so them.
That's 125 yards a game. What the hell?
Yeah, he had I think he had the per game record for decades and decades. Because how do you get that much yardage in a game? It's close.
Yeah, that's
absolutely nuts. That. What a different era for a sport too. I know it's hard judge to compare pass records in sports modern records in sports because it's just so different. But,
right, but
1,495 yards. If any player did that, that is you have a Pro Bowl season. You have one of the best seasons ever if you break 1,400 yards just in general. But
yeah,
doing that in 12 games, there's 18 games in football now. There's
50% more games, and also that was also during the time when they would just kill you.
Yeah.
If you were there was no all the player safety rules and stuff, which are great. And even looking back 10 years, you're man, sometimes Cam Chancellor hits, I don't know that they would allow that nowadays, but you go way back to when this guy was played in the 50s, and it's yeah, they just would break your leg if you were gonna score. So to do that back then is absurd.
So the reason why Elroy Hirsch was nicknamed Crazy Legs is apparently he had a really weird way of running. His legs looked all fucked up. I didn't actually look up any videos of it. I'm kind of curious to look up what he looks like now. But after he was done his NFL career, he got involved with some minor acting roles, including in Zero Hour. He played the first officer. So them casting Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as first officer is a reference to the fact that they cast a sports guy for the previous one. And
pretty good guy to cast for that.
So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like, you want to get paid a specific amount of money for the role for this movie is because he wanted to buy a very specific expensive rug he liked.
He's so cool, man. I love him.
And like the directors were just like, "Is he fucking with us?" It was like there's some weird negotiation tactic by his agent. But then like after he paid him for the movie, like he like some like in like a People magazine there's some article about like, "Oh yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is really proud of this new rug he just bought from a movie." Like,
that's like so perfectly fitting where for this movie though, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna do this very weirdly specific thing basically for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like his character's name is Roger Murdoch, and his Peter Graves has played Clarence Over. So like as they're doing like all like talking on the radios like like, oh yeah, this over Roger, this over that, like a lot of good comedy that pops up there.
Yeah.
So we meet some other passengers that pop up on the plane, which includes a couple black men who speak quote unquote jive, and where they get translated by into quote unquote more sophisticated English. So yeah, it's the 80s, so it's not very racially sensitive.
Yeah, I was like, some of that hasn't necessarily aged well. I did think part of the humor though was that when they translated it, they didn't translate it into regular like American English that the rest of the characters were speaking. It was this very formal, like almost
Very
British
posh,
coded,
yeah.
like posh like
Yeah.
thing, which is honestly enough for me to let it not fully slide, but it is a very funny bit, at least, if nothing else.
The delivery is really well done too. Like,
Yeah.
I think they do it pretty well. Like they bring it back a couple times, and like it's like a really funny subtitle gag they can pull off too.
Yeah, and they bring in, later on there was that like older white lady who is, I think,
I
is
speak
from,
jive.
yeah, some like I think she was from Soaps, is what my partner said. Like,
Okay, I never watched that.
or like just like various soap operas.
Soap operas. Okay, not
yeah.
shows. Okay, yeah.
And like, so she comes on as like, I'm sure someone's gonna crack that in the mailbag, but yeah, they just bring in this old white lady who speaks like perfect jive, and they like are just like stunned by it. So yeah.
And we also meet the young girl who needs a new heart, and her mother kicking around. There's a nun on board who's reading Boy's Life magazine, and there's a boy on board reading Nun's Life magazine. And Ted sits down next to an old lady, and he's like, "Oh, like you look nervous." Like you're like, "I am nervous." Like, "Oh, is it your first time?" "Oh no, I've been nervous before." And
Yeah.
so Ted goes on by starting to win back Elaine. And this old lady's like, "Oh wow," her like sees like because Elaine's the flight attendant there. She's like, "Oh wow, she's so beautiful," and keeps going on how wonderful her figure is. So it's like just very firm thighs and supple breasts. It's like really horny about her too.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I did have one last thing about the jive section. I don't know if you want to insert it back in.
Sure.
Which is that I don't remember where I read this, so take this with a grain of salt. We might want to look it up after we're done, so we can cut this if this isn't true. Sure. I think they brought those two actors in. They're like, they were black performers from the time, and I think they actually at least wrote that scene themselves. So they were asked to create something that was like,
that's
sort of parodying like AAVE, but also like making it very clear that it's like a fictional like gag thing. And so they were allowed to write it themselves, from my recollection, and then they had to teach the other actress like how to get the flow correctly.
Okay, so
and
it's
like,
not just white guys writing like things.
Yeah, writing like what they think AAVE sounds like. It's like actually like it's at least them like writing it themselves. So the joke isn't necessarily the best, but it's at least
it could
probably
have been...
written with more sensitivity than some movies even today.
Definitely, yeah. So as Ted's going on about like talking about like Ted's telling this old lady about how he met Elaine. So we flash back to a CD bar back when he's in the military. He's in like a white military uniform. But the bar has a lot of sketchy looking figures inside. A lot of guys like eye patches and stuff, and there's like pretty scuzzy overall. Two girl guys get into a massive fist fight. They're knocking everything over like it's a big, huge bar brawl. And one of the girl guys gets knocked into a jukebox, and the Staying Alive by the Bee Gees starts to play. And we got a huge extended Staying Alive dance sequence, which like the movie Staying Alive came out like, I'm not Staying Alive. Sorry, the movie Saturday Night Fever came out like a couple years before this, so like that was a huge song then. the movie Staying Alive came out, I think, a couple years after this one. Do you ever see that one?
No, I haven't. I can't say I have.
It's the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, and it's directed by Sylvester Stallone.
Really? Oh my god.
It's bad.
Okay, I figured.
Yeah, like
Probably a reason I haven't heard about it, but I have heard of Saturday Night Fever.
yeah, it has a great ending to it, but it's just overall just not a great movie. Saturday Night Fever was like a cultural sensation. Like that was like one where like the soundtrack won Grammys and stuff. It was the biggest soundtrack of the year. Of course, like everyone knows the song "Staying Alive." Like, so like this is parodying a movie like a pretty big song came out a couple years prior, and yeah, so like everyone's on the dance floor now because the music's playing. So it's a disco, pretty much. It's a disco, so there's disco ball coming down below. Everyone's doing disco dancing. There's Ted sees Elaine on the dance floor and is completely infatuated right away. Elaine's dancing partner gets stabbed in the back by some other hoodlum, so then Ted swoops in. And so it's like it's so funny because it completely goes like completely over the top, like what they're doing as dance moves, and like the directors went to Robert Hayes' who plays Ted's his resume to find like what have you said in your resume you're able to do. So he mentioned his resume he's able to juggle and dance. Like, are we gonna make you juggle and dance? And like him doing that crazy like like almost like the can type thing while juggling. You can see the wires in the set there, so he's getting a little wire work done too. But like the juggling is all him, which is really impressive. Like I can't juggle over shit.
Yeah, that is like super impressive. We did comment on the wires, but I was like, that's still pretty sick that he was doing it at the same time. So
extremely impressive, yeah. Because like now, like you would just like I don't know, like have like a body double or something like that. Like they actually like shit, like they actually found out this actor is able to do all this work and like actually made it like look all practical. Ted and Elaine are slow dancing the end of the night where they meet one another. We return to the present. The old lady beside Ted is just hung herself. Her legs are just dangling in the air. No one gives a fuck about his backstory at all.
It's really fitting to like bring that. I know that ends up being the running gag, but that sequence is just so long that I comment. I'm like, I don't remember the sequence being that long. That's awesome.
Very long, yeah. And we get more flashbacks from their past, including them like running around on a beach and everything, and like making it against the waves, which like according to the director's commentary, they had never seen From Here to Eternity before and thought they came up with it themselves. And it's clearly just From Here to Eternity. They're talking about their future and they're loving one another. There's like catfish, like just dead, dying beside them and everything along seaweed, like. And Ted mentions he's going on a big classified mission. They're happy now, but they won't be soon. Then back in modern times, we see a little boy named Joey. He enters the cockpit, and we mentioned Kareem Abdul-Jabbar before, and so the captain keeps making all these homoerotic pedophile jokes to Joey. Like, Joey, have you ever seen a grown man naked? Joey, do you like gladiator movies? Joey, you're in a Turkish prison.
Yeah, which are very funny, and it's like, I don't know if I should laugh at this, but it's pretty still really.
And apparently told Peter Graves like, oh, they'll explain like why your character's doing this in some off-scene dialogue, and they never do that.
Yeah,
just like
just total non sequitur.
In Zero Hour, like the two lead characters, they do have a son whose name is Joey, so like there is a Joey on the plane who's a kid. So like it's good that I'm glad they didn't make Joey their son. I'm glad that Joey's just like a one-off character. It was like a 1-2-off joke character.
Yeah.
During the director's commentary, they all say like there's one bit of dialogue that they cut. It was like, Joey, have you ever sucked a grown man's cock?
Yeah, that's a little.
Probably pushing a little bit too far.
Yeah. Even in a comedy movie, that's just.
Like, this movie was rated PG when it came out. Like, this is before PG-13 even came out. So another thing with this plane is that they wanted the movie... the makers wanted this movie to be a propeller plane, not just like in the original movie. Studio made it look like a modern plane, but the plane always has propeller plane noises because that would be a lot funnier.
Yeah. It's a really subtle thing that you kind of like don't think about until you like see the outside shot of the plane and you're like, doesn't make any sense, but
it doesn't sync up at all.
Yeah. You kind of just don't think about it though, because like it works because most of it takes place inside the plane, so you're not really thinking about it because it's just like plain background noise. But that first cut is like, wait, it's
and of course, it's
doesn't make any sense.
plane, it's a model they're using, which always looks fantastic. I love these models for planes rather than like dumb CGI like they do now.
Yeah, the models are so much better. Like, and you can tell, like, I know you guys were kind of talking about this on like the Godzilla episode, but it was like when you let the modeling teams like have fun, it's awesome. So
it's so charming. It's so great to look at. Like it's real light hitting objects. And everything is not just something creating a fake digital realm. It looks so good. So yeah, Ted keeps getting traumatic flashbacks. This is the first time I'm playing in a long time. So like, we get a lot of stock footage of like planes crashing and such, and we get a flashback to Ted. He's recovering in a hospital from a plane crash he was in after a big mission where people died. Elaine's trying to cheer him up and everything. 6 men did not make it back thanks to something he did during the mission. The flashback's kind of going for about too long. There's one part of the story where him and Elaine go help an African tribe. They're like, he's teaching them basketball, and she's teaching them how to how to use Tupperware to store food. Ted develops his drinking problem, which is just Robert Hayes with a glass of water just always splashing his face and in his mouth at all. Which is just like the funniest way to think about drinking problem. Every time I hear someone say drinking problem, I always think of Airplane. I always think of people that's like splashing water like the wrong places.
It's probably one of like the best like setups and like just like nailing the landing of a joke in the movie, which is high bar.
You think it's gonna be alcoholism because like that's what like this kind of script would tell you it's gonna be, but no, it's just he has problems drinking. The verb, and we cut back to modern times. We see a Japanese soldier commit a seppuku in front of him because he's not wanting to hear the story. And so this is where we get pretty much the next act of the movie, where passengers are starting to get sick on the plane, and turns out the options right around mealtime was that if you're on the plane, you can have either steak as a dinner or fish as a dinner. One woman gets so sick, she says like, I've not been this sick since I saw a Ronald Reagan film. Like, and then we to figure out why these passengers are sick, we're at minute 37 of the movie, we are introduced the MVP of the film, who is Leslie Nielsen, who plays Dr. Rumack. And we mentioned this before, but like he had never been a comedic actor before. Like he had been typecast for dramatic roles. Like he was in Forbidden Planet, Poseidon Adventure, and he always kind of wanted to branch out to comedy. And he was not the first choice of the movie. He was cast just the night before. He watched the movie. He watched 0 Hour before he was cast for this role. I was like, okay, yeah, I understand this now. I will just play it just like the Doctor in that movie. Like I will play it completely dead straight, like a dead serious actor. And that just completely changed his entire career because that's what he did for the rest of his life, and he's so fucking good at it.
Yeah, I know we're jumping around a lot, but there are so many line deliveries where he just comes in and nails a deadpan line delivery, and it's just the funniest thing you've heard anyone ever say. Yeah. And specifically what I was thinking of that made me see jumping around a little bit was at the very end after they've landed, and he's like, "Good luck, we're all counting on you." And they just look at each other confused.
It's every muscle in his face has the perfect expression. It is he's. It's not like he's it's almost like he's not even aware a joke is happening.
Yeah.
And which makes it so funny because it's some dead serious doctor playing a role that has no real comedy to it, but he just plays every single line of dialogue as of the most serious thing ever, and generates the best comedy out of it. And so now that he knows people are getting sick and everything, he tells Elaine that a passenger is sick. They need to be taken to a hospital immediately. Elaine says, "A hospital? What is it?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a big building with patients."
But that's not important right now.
Yeah. And so then we realize that the crew in the cockpit is starting to feel ill as well. So Leslie Nielsen is asking how soon they can land. "I can't tell you, Captain." "Well, you can tell me, I'm a doctor." They can't land for a couple more hours due to fog. In 0 Hour, they couldn't land because they're flying over the Rockies.
Yeah.
So I think fog works a lot better.
Yeah.
So Leslie Nielsen concludes that people who chose the fish over the steak are getting sick. He himself had the lasagna, so apparently he brought his own or something.
Yeah.
So he explains to Elaine the physical symptoms that will happen to everyone who's getting sick. So Captain Over is expressing all the symptoms as he's explaining them. The plane goes into a nosedive, so they have to activate the autopilot, which is a inflatable autopilot with it's a guy in a pilot uniform. It's like
Yeah.
some white guy, like, blue suit, the blue hat and everything, with a silly smile on his face.
Yeah, it's and his name is Otto, Otto, if
Yeah.
you watch with the subtitles.
And so Elaine gets in contact with the control tower in Chicago. Supervisor there, Steve McCroskey, who's played by Lloyd Bridges, acting legend. He's another person who's like known for playing dead serious roles. He gets to play his deadpan finally. So Lloyd Bridges, he was actually encouraged to take the role after he talked to his children about it. So like, yeah, Jeff Bridges is responsible for this role.
Huh.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool. I also did not realize that Lloyd Bridges is Jeff Bridges' dad.
Yeah, he's Lloyd Bridges, the father to Jeff Bridges and Beau Bridges.
There you go. Nepo babies right there. No.
100%. But Jeff Bridges is like, he's one of those guys that earned his career. He's just such a high level performer. So yeah, McCloskey, his big runner a joke is him like, oh, like, looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. Or like, picked the wrong week to quit drinking. Looks like the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Like, and so Lloyd Bridges is advising Elaine how to get the plane to a steady level. The autopilot fails, so he starts deflating. So Elaine has to inflate the this sex toy looking thing with a little tube that's right by the doll's groin. And as she's inflating the autopilot, the little like fucking sex doll thing just like has the huge grin on his face.
He just like turns and looks at the camera. It's like it's all like all according to plan.
So in the director's comments here, they're saying that it was the autopilot like as like a prop was stored in someone's garage for like 6 months and started disintegrating. So like,
Oh my god,
Otto no longer exists. He's not part of the Mortal plane anymore.
Rest in peace, Otto.
So clearly they need someone who can actually land the plane. So Elaine gets on the intercoms, is like, hey, like everything's fine. Is there anyone on board who can fly a plane? Like everyone's freaking out. The nuns are strangling Hare Krishna guys. Topless women are running around. People are stabbing each other with swords. Like no one's having a good time. Ted is still telling his sad sex stories. There's a man with pouring gasoline all over himself, and he has a light. He has like a match going. He's ready to light himself on fire. And then another flight attendant's like, "Hey Ted, come to the cockpit." And then like the guy's just like, he ends up accidentally blowing himself up anyway.
Yeah, he's like he puts it out, but then just like as he like puts it down in relief, he just explodes.
Yeah. Which is that's like the one effect they do in post production because they couldn't obviously blow up a person and everything. It's like $2,500 to actually like get that post production effect in place. It's like, yeah, it's totally worth it because the rest of the movie, like all the stuff is done like on set there. It's like all practical effects and everything. It's all like actual props, it's actual models, it's actual performances. It's not like jokes added in post, like like a Marvel movie now where everything is post. Like there's nothing done during production itself. Like,
and you can tell like that a lot of the extras on board are actively reacting to like the insane things that are happening around them. Mm-hmm. So like
to a perfect degree too. It's not like it's like so distracting. Like like they're reacting to the perfect degree to the insanity, to the point where it's still funny, but you still buy the weird reality of a spoof film.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And so like at this point, Ted goes up to the cockpit. He sees that no one's flying the plane, and Leslie Nielsen asks like, "Can you fly this plane and land it?" Ted says, "Surely you can't be serious." "I am serious, and don't call me Shirley." Which is like one of the best lines in cinematic history. It's just the way that Leslie Nielsen is just like so frustrated with the line too. Like, "I am serious, of course."
Yeah.
And Ted hesitates because like he's never flown a plane like this. Like it has the wrong number of engines. He looks at the control panel, and like when they pan it, it's just like super long, longer than any plane could possibly be. Like this is going to be very overwhelming to actually fly this plane. So Chicago Air Traffic Control, they try to get in touch with a commercial pilot who can try and teach someone how to fly a commercial plane over a radio. So they get in touch with Captain Rex Kramer, who's Ted's former commanding officer in the military, so he knows all of Ted's history already. So Kramer's played by Robert Stack, and he's best known for the TV series The Untouchables, as well as he hosted the TV show Unsolved Mysteries. He is yet another dead serious actor cast in the movie because like no audience ever considered him to be a funny person. But again, like all these really cast to be serious people who are serious people are just so fucking funny in this movie. Like this movie would not work if like There's that one guy. Oh, I forget what the actor's name is, but like he is like this one that's like almost the stereotypical gay guy in this movie.
Oh yeah. He's
That is like such a like some funny lines here and there, but like it is such a showy performance compared to the rest of the movie that it really sticks out.
yeah, it works super well, specifically because everyone basically just kind of ignores him, but he's doing all this insane shit, and like it's really contrasts the deadpan with like the over the top, because the plot and a lot of the visual gags are over the top, and so you would expect a lot of the dialogue to be over the top, but so much of it is played straight, and that makes it funnier because like it's basically people acting normally in a world that is just completely fucking insane.
Yeah. It's the spoof reality, and I think it works so well, and I think that's the problem. Like a lot of spoof movies like kind of lost, like like 90s onwards. Like the new Naked Gun movie does it pretty well too, of like having the perfect reality going on. Like that does a great job of like having like people getting at the exact right level of like where Airplane is, where like the reality is insane and such, and you have people reacting to jokes when it's funny and like not reacting if it's funny. Like it's in the service of the jokes more so than the plot, which I feel like a lot of movies, comedies especially, gets too heavy in the plot, which is never fun. People come here for a laugh.
Yeah. No, I agree. Also, a lot of them are so obsessed with being over the top and like quirky and look, what I'm saying is funny, so you're supposed to laugh, and it's like you just need to let the jokes speak for themselves, Yeah,
exactly. With Ted, he's pretty bad at flying the plane at first. He keeps fucking it up. All the passengers are freaking out because like he's like jerking the plane a lot. There's one woman in particular who's like freaking out, and someone comes by to shake her to calm her down. Then another man comes along, slaps her in the face to shake her. Calm down, calm down. Then Leslie Nielsen's like, "Oh, I'll handle this." Starts slapping her a couple times. There's a whole row of passengers who are ready to hit her. So except for the row of people ready to like hit this woman to calm down, this is from 0 Hour.
Wait.
There's a woman freaking the hell out in 0 Hour, and someone's like, like calm down, shaking her, and then like they're like, "Don't worry, I'll handle her." Like, calm down, and starts slapping her. Like that is from like the movie they're parodying. It's not an original thing from this movie. I lost my mind when I saw 0 Hour and saw that. Like,
wait, why? I thought that was supposed to be like played straight. What is that? Is that just how they treated women in the 50s?
I think absolutely it was, yeah. Like, I honestly will say overall with 0 Hour, it's not overall worth watching. It's just okay as a movie. It's interesting if, like, you want some more Airplane history. But, like, overall, just watch Airplane again, because this movie is timeless.
Yeah. Well, that makes it, like, the perfect, like, spoof base for it to be, like, very generic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like...
And so you can just insert all the jokes in as needed in the dead space.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I wish like more movies just did that. Like that'd be really funny if like a spoof movie like nowadays just like pick like I don't know like
any MCU movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm truly waiting for the first great like MCU spoof. Like it has to happen, right? Like,
well, they tried to do it themselves with like Deadpool, and that didn't work because when you're making fun of yourself, but you don't actually like, you can't be too mean about it, and so it just ends up being like, haha, look how self-deprecating I am. It doesn't work because everyone sees through it. But
my problem with Deadpool is that like it's basically just jokes that it's not really jokes. It's not really spoofing anything. It's basically just saying like, here's some stuff that people commented on Reddit about like an MCU movie or a Marvel movie in the past. There, we're just gonna put it on screen and then have Ryan Reynolds say like fuck a couple times.
Yeah.
So I think like almost the internet's made things too almost self-aware.
Mm-hmm. Which is Deadpool's shtick, and they did. I must admit. They did kind of get right that Deadpool is an annoying piece of shit because they casted Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
But
100%. Yeah. But I fucking despise all those Deadpool movies. Jesus Christ, they're the fucking worst. But like, yeah, I feel like that's probably the closest thing you get to the kind of the parody movies now is something like that, where it's kind of like. But I feel like meta humor is so baked into our culture now as being kind of the main thing. Like people do like. If you make something meta, it doesn't really feel that fresh. Like, say we want the new Naked Gun movie, but I don't really feel it's that really that meta because it's kind of parodying something that doesn't exist anymore.
Right. It's really making fun of those like Police Academy or like those old police procedurals, which is not a thing outside of like TV. Like people still watch like whatever Law and Order and stuff.
Yeah,
but that's not like a thing in movie form. They're just long running like procedurals. Those are basically Monster of the Week shows,
True, yeah.
by the way. But
But those are different zeitgeists because like those movies are like more popular than anything else. Like more people watch The Good Doctor than probably watch like Stranger Things, but you don't hear about The Good Doctor that much on social media compared to like Stranger Things, which is like dominates all this discussion. It's just different realms out there.
Someone finds an insane thing of the guy yelling at Johnny Gat. Yeah.
Yeah. And God, I watched an episode. I watched the whole arc of The Good Doctor. Me and a friend went back to it. And it's the most insane thing in the world. Like, yeah, no, he's right to not be a surgeon anymore. Like, he should absolutely be like taken off and like put in some different department because like he's yelling at patients and shit. He's not a good doctor.
I love when they canceled The Good Doctor for being transphobic.
Oh God, and racist too. And he says like one girl's like, "Oh, you must be a terrorist because you're brown." Like, insane
fucking
show.
Unhinged. Probably the highest rated show on television in that time slot too.
I gotta like go back and see how the show ends. I'm fascinated to see how the series of finale of The Good Doctor looks like. It's gotta be the most insane thing ever.
Yeah.
It cannot be tasteful at all.
We need more spoof like shows then is what I'm hearing. With like there's so much like I know Brooklyn Nine-Nine kind of did that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got too self-aware and they're like, oh no, we're propaganda. And then in the last season it was kind of them like, we're woke now, I promise.
Yeah, that was a weird thing to do, yeah.
Yeah. But it kind of worked as like not necessarily a spoof, but like adding like kind of blending workplace comedy in with like a standard like by the numbers police procedural.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Psych also kind of does that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a lot of it is like what comes to mind is House. I've never seen House. I just know people make jokes about it, and I think that's like that's not actually textual. I think that's people just being silly about
I think so,
House.
yeah.
So
apologize all the House fans out here because I watched like 2 episodes of House, didn't like it, so never watched anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, like I feel like just like TV in general is afraid to look like a TV show now. Like, that's why The Pit really stood out because The Pit actually was structured like a TV show. It had a lot of TV show tropes and stuff and felt like good quality. And I feel like, yeah, like I feel that's kind of the hard thing about making fun of your own TV show is that like, you're making the jokes that people have already made about your stuff, which I think is the problem with like, Star Wars had that problem too with like The Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker when it comes to like, like, oh, like people are like, the stuff they're commenting in the movie is stuff that people commented on like in forums back in the 2000s and stuff as well. Like, you're just kind of appeasing a Reddit-based audience rather than kind of just like telling your own low jokes that you're coming up with yourself.
Yeah, honestly, I'm trying to think of like who did it the best, and I think I'm going back to it because like Airplane fits the same Simpsons role. I think Simpsons is the one who does the best.
100%.
I know Family Guy does like the parodies, like in-place parodies. They do it more like in form more similarly to Airplane. They have like the Star Wars, and then in episodes they have like mini parodies of like Succession or whatever is big at the time. And I think but I think Simpsons, especially with their Treehouse of Horror, does it a little more similarly to how Airplane does it, where it takes like lines and set pieces and stuff from the show, and instead of being like, wouldn't it be funny if Han took a couch out of the trash compactor, it's like, like actually like using like, I mean, the gold standard is the Shining parody where like The Shining, where they're like using the form and plot of The Shining and inserting jokes into it and really making the characters their own while still keeping like the same form of it, really.
I wonder what the problem with that now is because like it takes so long to make a TV show. Like, so like for something like The Simpsons or like Family Guy, like it takes like like 9 months a year to actually get an episode like from writing to like the final stage or after animation. Like South Park can do things fast because they take like 6 days to make an episode, which is like unbelievable. They're able to do that. So like they're quick to the punch. Saturday Night Live is quick to the punch too. Late night shows are quick to the punch, but like even by the time like I don't know, Seth Meyers makes a joke on like his Tonight Show, like that joke's been made a million times on Twitter and Blue Sky already. So I feel like by the time like something Simpsons rolls around these days, like Simpsons Treehouse of Horror is going to be like probably like 12 months and like a million like cultural waves out of like out of date, like. And whereas I feel like back with like something like Airplane back when it came out, like you weren't really getting the same like people making the exact same jokes about the exact same things all the time. Like you might hear on late night shows and stuff and like some comics saying here and there, but like you weren't as like overexposed to all these exact same jokes all the time. which I think what makes this thing stand out so much more is that like you just have like this feels. It's probably felt like fresh because like, oh, like finally someone's deflating this really self-serious genre rather than being like oh, like another person making fun of the MCU. Like if you want to see someone making fun of the MCU, you just have to go online and look at anything. Like people will be deflating it every one, pointing out all the flaws in it. And like we keep going back to the MCU because like that is like the obvious big genre that could be parodied to like kind of deflate it because it's just the most dominant thing happening in in the cinema right now. That is like still like the most dominant genre. And like I think there will be probably a great superhero movie parody at some point that's not actually made by like Marvel or DC because like they have their own offshoots of like funny shit that's happened in their own franchise too. But like I'm waiting for like a true like Airplane style parody of that.
Yeah, the closest we have is probably Lego Batman.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Which is an awesome movie. It's probably the best. I'm going to piss off Dark Knight, like trilogy fans here. I think it's the best Batman movie until The Batman.
I like that take. It's like, true. Like it is like, it has like it's structured like a Batman movie. It feels different than a Batman movie, but it still like knocks all the things that make Batman silly, but also kind of like a bit of a love letter to it too. I also don't really think that like this, I'm not sure if Airplane's a love letter to the disaster genre or not. Like, I feel like it's having fun with it, but like, I feel there's a lot of like, oh, we got to like, revere the genre we're making fun of. But I'm not sure if Airplane's really in love with Airport, those movies, or the disaster genre in general. Or is like, why don't we use it as a fun medium to make fun of some shit?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like, what is missing is that like, I don't want to say vitriol, but like, sort of uncaring of the source like material of like just being like, you know what, this is a vehicle to make jokes and we care about it in as much as that, so we're just gonna go out there and be funny,
which should be enough in my mind. Like just make your comedy funny, like don't worry about like being a love letter
for sure.
So with the movie so we were last talking about the woman getting slapped around to calm down and then we get Kramer comes to the airport and he fist fights all the solicitors trying to sell him shit at the airport, which is like very like that'd be odd, like which is like
we've all been there.
Fun. Yeah, all been there. So then we have all our crew in the sky. They're all together in the cockpit. We have our crew on the ground. So like we're finally in the final act of the movie. So we're trying to get this plane down. So Ted and Kramer, they're like talking about the friction of the past and everything. They decide like we're gonna move past our previous disagreements and like I'm gonna build up your confidence. And then Kramer's like, oh shit, it's a goddamn waste of time. Let's at least route him into Lake Michigan to avoid killing innocent people. As his fingers on the radio still, so Ted's hearing everything. So then also like trying to get all the technicians together to like figure things out. And one of the radar techs, he's the guy who's like oh, like, how long for this to get done there? And he checks a micro. It's like, oh, it's like. He checks the heat on a turkey, and it's like, oh, it's going to be like 2 minutes. That's Jonathan Banks.
What?
Yeah, from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And it's really funny listening to the audio commentary, because like they're like, oh yeah, like that's Jonathan Banks, who later on go and play like a villain in Beverly Hills Cop. I'm like, this audio commentary is definitely recorded before Breaking Bad, because everyone knows this guy as like like the stodgy kind of serious guy from that show.
Yeah, he's the dude who like gives Walter that dressing down, right? Like, yeah, he's like, and just like an insane stone cold badass. So
I love Jonathan Banks is an incredible actor, and Mike Ehrmantraut is such a phenomenal character. That's such love that series.
Yeah.
So then reporters get a hold of the story and begin publishing about the trouble the plane's in for the evening edition. And we get newspapers rotating, flipping into place there, so we can see the headlines on the front page. And one of my favorite jokes in anything ever is the National Enquirer popping up. We see their front page, and it says, "Boy trapped in a refrigerator eats own foot."
Yeah.
I first saw when I was like 8 years old, and I've been laughing at that joke ever since. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Like,
because it is.
Yeah, it's such a National Enquirer type stories too. And so the TV news start reporting the story as well. So we get like, some like TV news stories type parodies and such. And on the show Counterpoint, host says, Shauna, they bought their tickets. They knew what they're getting in for. I say, let them crash. which like is built into my brain. I say that so often. I read a lot of news stories. Like I was reading this one article that Collider did back in 2020, and about like how like that line about letting them crash is pretty much what every modern news story in modern media is now. Whereas like you have like a clear situation, like I don't know, like if a bus is on fire, you're going to find some story online. It's like, well, let the kid in the bus, burn themselves alive. Like everything's so vitriol and evil and mean now.
Well, we literally saw that with the Billionaire sub.
100%. I was about to say that too. It's like, yeah. I still had the same thought. Like, oh yeah, well, like, you know what you're up to. Let them sink. Like,
yeah. Well, that one was especially grim because it's like they put the like. Speaking of the wall-to-wall coverage, they put the like. Obviously, we found out they were like goners before that, but they put that like oxygen counter on it. It's like you're basically like putting a timer on like 5 people suffocating to death. Like, how fucked up is that?
And you're merely just betting on it too, so you don't actually know any actual information. Like, you're
right.
Just speculating. It's so gruesome. Like, it's like almost like you have like like an NFL game. Like, oh, like here's Tua Tagovailoa's like brain structure right now. Like, okay, well here's the counter. Here's this health bar right now. Let's see if he's going to concuss and die.
It's what if they like. In that DeMar Hamlin game, because I know you're a Bills fan, what if they like kept the game going and in the corner put his fucking EKG reader on the side?
I know, it's exactly the same thing. Like, it's not news. It's not actually good for the public. It's not good for public knowledge. Like, you're just sensationalizing events. And like, absolutely, this movie gets right. The fact that like people will be completely sensationalizing it, and like I love it. There's like one person like, oh fuck them, let them die. Like,
yeah,
and that is truly what would happen right now. Is that people would be like, oh yeah, well like there'd be one person rooting for the death of absolutely everyone. There's always gonna be some weird asshole cynic who like is gonna try and often politicize it for profit, politicize it for their own gain. Like, there's gonna be some weird people just doing things for the most psychotic reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's
Yeah, so they're ready to land the plane. Ted freaks out one last time. Leslie Nielsen gives him encouragement, tells a good story to inspire Ted. The Notre Dame fight music starts playing, which, like, I legitimately thought that like, I don't watch college football much at all. And, like, when I hear, like, that play in college football, I'm like, oh, like the song from Airplane. But, like, I don't associate it with, like, Notre Dame.
I wish I knew a Notre Dame fan so I could tell them you said that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't.
Oh, damn it. Well, if you find any, send them this podcast. I need the listens. So now we get to the in-play entertainment in the movie, where an old lady asks the flight attendant, like, oh, how soon will we land? Like, oh, don't worry, it's gonna be soon, don't worry. So the lady puts on those old-timey, like, old like headphones and to relax and calm down. In the in-flight movie they're showing, which is a big screen in the middle of the plane, is just like footage of a plane crashing and exploding into flames.
Yeah, which is awesome. Which is, first off, hilarious. Second off, as in like aside, if we want to get into it more, we can. But like, yeah. So this is like a great lead off into talking about like in-flight entertainment. Just it's really fascinating because, like I mentioned, I travel a lot. I've spent a lot more time on planes than any human ever should. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just like what the different selections are is really fascinating to me. So kind of leading into that, like, first off, there's kind of this like rumor that they won't show movies that have like plane crashes or stuff on planes. That's not universally true. A lot of them have disclaimers. I think some airlines...
I will interject right here. That so like apparently with this movie, only one airline bought the rights for Airplane upon release, which is Aeromexico, and no other airline wanted Airplane. But like, yeah, so Airplane was an example of a movie where like no airlines wanted it for, like, despite it being a big hit because it was a plane crash. But like, this is 1980, so like times have probably changed a little bit.
Well, and there is a lot of like weird superstition. Maybe not as much nowadays, but even when I was a kid, there was a lot of weird superstition. Like, if you're ever boarding a plane, you should like take note on whether or not there's a row 13, or if it's on an Asian aircraft, like. If you're flying like a Japanese or Chinese airline, you should look and see if there's a row 4. Because a lot of times that's omitted because like superstitions and bad luck.
Was it 1, 2, 3, 5 kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, etc. That's also the case with a lot of tall buildings. Yeah. Yeah, in this specific case, I think it's because it is this like weird thing that it does to you. People like joke about how like it's sort of like a fallacy, but like how awesome it is when they're sitting, they always have CNN on at the airport, and it's like someone just sends a picture of like plane crashes in India, like 300 people dead, and it's like, oh, great, just what I want to see before I get on my flight. Yeah, not all airlines like will do that. I did like find an article actually about like how a lot of the industry works, which I can send to you and you can share in the show notes if you like. But I know some airlines just put like a disclaimer about it, and some just don't give a fuck. A lot of these, especially nowadays, so I think earlier on, like you mentioned, like airlines would have picked and chosen on their own, but it's become such a thing that's expected, particularly on long haul flights. But on any flight, to have like the airplane movies. So now they have like, as with everything capitalism, like everyone has their own fiefdoms, but there's now like contractors and groups that will organize like movie rights and collate them, and like they can contract out, and all the movies that you watch on a plane, everything's data now. So they'll like gather the data, what's popular, and the contractors will go to the movie distributors and be like, oh, like here's what we think will be popular, and here's how much like we think like we're willing to pay to put your movie on our planes, or like distribute it out to our further customers who are like airlines and stuff. And so when an airline doesn't have as many movie options, it means they're cheaping out. Like they're buying a cheaper package from that like content provider, which is a separate entity from the distributors, because it is basically just streamlining that process. Which totally makes sense. When you're in the business of flying a plane, the last thing I want to do is negotiate with Paramount and Disney and,
try and get the Gal Gadot Snow White movie. Like,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's really interesting, like what people get into. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is like, do you have like a preferred like airplane movie? Like what to you makes like something you would watch on an airplane? Like what's the platonic ideal of an airplane movie to you?
For me, it's some movie that I don't have to pay that much attention to. It's often a rewatch. A rewatch or something I know is not going to be like that like heavy to think about, or really I don't pay a lot of attention to. Like A Simple Favor, that Anna Kendrick one, I think that's a perfect airplane movie. Where it's just like something like, low key, it's just exciting enough that you can keep your attention, but you can kind of fade in and out. I feel like the perfect airplane movie is something you can just as easily watch hungover on a couch at home after like a night of drinking. Like I feel like I would, because it's a big bombastic movie, like a big like spectacle. I don't really want to watch on a plane because like it's a small screen, right? Like
right.
It's like not the most ideal. Like I'm the kind of person like I kind of watch things in the most ideal environment possible. So like I'm not going to be watching like
watch Tar on a plane.
I don't want Tar on a plane yet.
Yeah,
as Lady Tony want you to do.
Yeah.
Like, you never watch that movie at a Monster Hunter convention.
Well, yeah. Well, so similarly, I actually agree. I want something that's very like pretty simplistic, so that if I'm like falling asleep or if I'm eating or playing like games on my phone or on my Switch, or like I can pause it and get up and go to the bathroom and walk around and like talk to, whoever I'm traveling with. So my platonic ideal of an airplane movie is Bullet Train.
Oh, that movie?
Yeah. Not honestly, not that great of a movie. Yeah, it's not a good movie, but it has enough going on that it's like visually like entertaining. I will admit, there's the Bad Bunny sequence did get a laugh out of me.
Yeah.
It's kind of actiony. You don't really give a shit about the plot. So like if you just get up to go piss because the bathroom light is off and you just need to go as fast as you can, like you're not missing anything. There's enough visual sauce that it's like taking away from the fact that you're on a crammed into a tiny metal tube, but also it's not so great that you feel like you're missing out on like some excellent cinematography or something. So yeah, that's when I watch. Another one, and this is apparently supported by data, is Crazy Rich Asians.
I see, yeah.
Which is like apparently the most watched movie on airplanes.
Really?
Yeah. there's a lot of travel associated with it, and like, they get on a plane. Like the climax of the movie like kind of happens on a plane. The plane's on the ground at least.
Yeah. It's like pretty low. Like the stakes are not that drastic. You don't pay that much attention. It's not that scandalous movie.
Right. It's just like a simple rom-com. It's pretty funny. Actually, remarkably well-shot movie, I will say, when you're not watching it on a plane.
Surprising for a John M. Chu movie, because his movies are usually hideous.
Yeah. It's definitely his best-looking movie.
I say so, yeah.
That wedding scene is absolutely fantastic, I will say. Like, legitimately, like, gorgeous. Like, that scene is, like, actually, like, one of my favorite, like, cinematic, like that is like the ideal rom-com like scene to me. Yeah, I watched that on my most recent trip to Asia, and so did my partner.
So
what else? Yeah,
with me, like I always like have this like this hesitation when it comes like like I think I remember watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding on a flight back in like 2001, whenever that movie came out. So like that was like back when like they would have like one movie playing on a flight, right? And they have like one screen down the middle, and like that's what you're watching on. And so like for me, an airplane movie was always one that was like something usually rated PG, not a lot of nudity or violence, because you're not going to show like accidentally expose like a 4-year-old to see something like hardcore sex on TV or something. But yeah, like, I remember like, I was flying school trip. We were flying from like Toronto to Frankfurt. I was later to go to Spain.
How was a school trip?
It was a trip to Spain, actually. A trip to either Spain or Italy. Either way, we did Toronto to Frankfurt, then Frankfurt to Rome or Madrid, whatever trip it was. But the movie they played on the flight was Australia, the Baz Luhrmann movie. And I swear to God that like they started the movie like when the plane took off, and like it was still going when the plane landed. That is the longest feeling movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Like I just remember like watching like Homestar Runner like shorts on my iPod instead because I was so fucking bored of that movie.
That's like not a good movie.
But like I feel like that's an airplane movie though, right? Where it's like something like it's like something you can just like watch like in the background. It might spark your interest a little bit here and there. Not very scandalous and full of nudity.
Right. Yeah.
So last summer I was going to a friend's wedding in Calgary, and so I was just like cruising through WestJet's options for like what they had for movies and stuff, and they had Challengers on there.
Nice.
And I was like, I saw it in the theaters already, so I already knew it was gonna like me. I was like, I'm pretty sleepy, so I was on Challengers. So I watched Challengers on this flight there, and I was just like okay, so that was pretty funny because like I forgot there's that much penis in the movie.
Yeah.
And like I feel like it's so different now because like back like 20 years ago, you're trying to like avoid movies that have a lot of nudity because you're trying to go for something that wouldn't like scandalize like I don't know like whatever like conservative person's on the flight and everything. But like now you just like watch whatever you want on your phone, your iPad, or whatever is like screen you have there. So on the way back from Calgary to London, I very early on, I was sitting beside one guy, and like I was like, I saw that Poor Things was offered on this in-flight things. Like, should I watch Poor Things? And then I look over on his phone there, and the first I notice on his phone, the first thing he does is he's gets in his seat, puts on his seatbelt, he goes on his phone, buys travel mode for Grindr, and just spends it the whole flight swiping. And I was like, all right, I'm cool to watch Poor Things during this flight.
Rips. Good for him.
I feel like there's such like an idea with in-flight movies where you're trying to like judge who is going to be around you.
No,
like,
yeah, for sure.
Whereas I feel like now with like iPads and stuff and phones, like people are kind of used to like minding their own business, which maybe they weren't a while back.
I still, admittedly, I watched most of Novocaine on someone else's screen on my flight to Tokyo, because they had the subtitles on, and so I'm like, I'm not missing anything, and I'm just sitting here trying to fall asleep, and so I just look over and I'm just like watching Novocaine on someone else's screen, and like I still do that, like no shame, like I will absolutely look around and judge people based on what they're watching, but I know, like, definitely, I'm sure that's not the case for most people. Like, they just want to sleep, or they're focused on whatever they're doing or whatever they brought along.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I say let her rip. Like honestly,
Oh yeah.
like who gives a shit? But
Like I
um,
remember reading that like when the TV show Lost was on, it's like 2004, 2010, like that no airlines were showing the show Lost just on their on what they had going because like of
oh
course the show
yeah,
about a plane crash and like horrible things happening to people, but like I feel like yeah, like nowadays like who really cares anymore? Because like everyone like because like you might not offer them movie in-flight thing, but like someone just go on their like, on their iPad and watch like I don't know like
air crash investigation.
exactly yeah they can watch whatever they want on their own device there and like people I think are kind of more used to not having to just creep what other people are watching on their phones. Like, hopefully, most people are kind of normal. Like, when you're on transit and stuff, you're not gonna be like, like just judging someone. Telling us like, oh, we turn that off. You're watching something totally scandalous. When you're watching, like, I don't know, Big Bang Theory or something like.
Right, for sure, for sure. And so I mean, kind of leaning into that, like a lot of it, I think the way the airlines have approached in-flight entertainment has really evolved. Because of that. So they know, like, first off, a couple airlines, most notably American, Alaska, and Southwest, on their domestic flights don't offer like seat back entertainment. They make you pull it up on your phone or your iPad or your
Yeah, it's
laptop.
like WestJet for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but also, a lot of them are starting to partner with streaming services, both like um, movies and like music and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or like live TV. So I know Southwest, one of their big like gimmicks is that you can watch DirecTV on like your phone on the plane. And
Mm-hmm.
so there was like I was flying during the World Cup when Argentina won, and so there was like a whole flight of people like rooting for
Oh, that's
Messi.
cool.
Yeah, like I was like people will never do that because in the commercials they like show like you're flying to Buffalo and everyone's
Yeah.
rooting for the Bills, and it's like people will never do that. Oh no, people will actually do that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Another one is I think it was Delta, I want to say, was actually giving out free trials of Paramount Plus,
Mm-hmm.
like so that you could use it, like you could watch access Paramount's entire catalog while you were on the plane. And then if you were like a frequent flyer member, they would send you a code that would be like, here, you can, in case you started watching something you liked on the plane, you could like pick it up later, like at
Wow,
home or when you got somewhere, like on
that's
your
fun.
own thing. Um, so yeah, I really like that evolution of it. Another thing that I noticed this is because so many airlines are tied to countries and like we have this concept of flag carriers, which is the flagship airline of a country. So you have your Air France's, your Lufthansa's, your unfortunately for you Air Canada's.
Yep.
But a lot of times these airlines, because they know they're flying like a very international clientele. A lot of them, especially like Air France, Lufthansa, Air Canada, are trying to be a connecting like tissue for their clients. Like apparently Eric Adams will fly Turkish Airlines everywhere in the world because they give him free flights, bribery or whatever.
Of
But like a
course.
lot of them are trying to do that with like regular people, where it's like,
Mhm.
you know, like for example, I went to visit my friend in London and London, UK, not London,
Not
Ontario.
fake London. Yep.
Yeah. And I flew through Amsterdam on KLM, like, and so a lot of these airlines are starting to spot like regional or their like home countries, like cinema industries. Well,
Hmm.
France in particular because they have a very strong like cinematic tradition, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, and I've noticed like the international flights, like movie selection on a lot of these foreign airlines is really good. I watched a bunch of like Hong Kong cinema
Oh,
on
cool.
EVA, which is a Taiwanese carrier. I also watched, by the way, which is shocking for a Taiwanese carrier, the most insane like Chinese propaganda movie. So you know how like in the early 2000s during like peak of like post Desert Storm in like Iraq and Afghanistan,
Yeah.
we had all these insane like US like Western war movies where it's like our macho men are going in there and killing terrorists and rescuing like helpless brown people,
Hmm.
right? Um, this movie was literally that. It was like highlighting like the PLA's like involvement in
Was it Wolf Warrior?
no. Oh
I've
fuck,
seen
what was
Wolf
it
Warrior
called?
2, and that's just what it's like too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what is it called? It's on my letterboxed. I shit, what is it called? I think it is called I'm like sandbagging right now. Um
Don't worry, I can always delete whatever,
yeah.
shrink it down. So
God, I remember the name for so long, and now I just completely escaped me. Foreign Police Unit. Sorry, it's a bunch of like Chinese like SWAT troops going in, like joining the UN peacekeepers, and it's this insane jingoistic, like militaristic. It's in like some country in Africa, which is completely war torn, and they're literally doing the white savior shit, but with like Chinese people, because that's
That's
what it's
what
made
Wolf Warrior
for.
2
And
is like.
it's
Wolf Warrior 2 is exactly that too, where it's like
yeah,
they just like it's like some Chinese like super soldier goes to like some country in generic Africa, and I was like, oh, like the way that other nations see Africa as a whole is just like how like the West sees Africa as a whole. Like
yeah,
it's fascinating to see like because like if you look at movies as a cultural exchange, like if you go to if movies are being broadcasted by other companies, airlines, like that's a good way to kind of understand like what countries have to like their perception of the world. Like every American airline's going to offer Top Gun Maverick on their service, and Top Gun Maverick is like a masterpiece, but it's also fully on propaganda.
right, yeah. Wait, Frank Grilla's in Wolf Warrior 2? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I was stunned to see that on like a Taiwanese airline for obvious reasons. But I think EVA actually has my favorite like film collection, honestly, because it has movies from completely all over the world. Like it has movies that I was looking on their like in-flight Wi-Fi, like trying to add things to my watch list because it wasn't that long of a flight that I was on. And there was a bunch of shit that I was like, they're like, oh yeah, this just doesn't have a US distributor. So I watched Stuntman on my last EVA flight, which is like a love letter to Hong Kong cinema. It was all right. I took notes of a bunch of movies I wanted to watch from like specifically Taiwanese cinema. But yeah, like just looking at like what EVA has right now, what I see is a bunch of American, obviously. There's a ton of Taiwanese cinema, which is, by the way, I'm biased because I'm Taiwanese, but like one of my most underrated like cinema scenes.
Yeah.
Right now.
I'm truly oblivious to it myself.
Yeah, Netflix actually has a decent like variety of like Taiwanese cinema. Honestly, I mostly keep Netflix around for their international collections at this point, because they truly have some pretty solid like starting points for like Taiwanese and Indian and all these other countries, like their cinema scenes. I also saw Victory, which is a Korean film on that flight. But they have a bunch of like they have a Portuguese, some like Swiss and French and other stuff. It's really awesome. Like when the airlines are like, because they're these centralized like groups that are providing these movies, like they can really pick and choose like what they want from basically all over the world, because they're not tied to these distributors. They're not stuck with like, oh, whatever we were able to get picked up in Taiwan is what we're limited to. It's like, well, contractor has this weird ass movie from France. You guys want it? We give it to you for cheap, and they're like, sure, we'll just throw it on, and it's almost padding. But if you know what you're looking for, you can find some really cool stuff.
It's like international waters for negotiations for movies. That's really cool.
Yeah,
like that is such like a interesting dynamic that like it's just like the fact that Megalopolis you can only watch on a flight now. Like that's like
yeah.
Wow, that's like you're not negotiating with countries anymore. You're negotiating with airlines.
Right. And it's like, it kind of gets into this whole like insane like capitalist, like everyone's rent seeking, everyone's like by the way, one of the leading in-flight entertainment companies just got bought out by private equity, so have fun with that. But yeah, like just having all these things, it's a blessing and a curse, like it means you're not always going to see like things. Sometimes airlines aren't willing to pay. Sometimes these distributors aren't willing to pay for like the new releases, but like a lot of times they are. And it's a great way I found to catch up because it's a captive audience. And so they know that like it's a big selling point. And I've seen like airlines are investing super heavily into in-flight entertainment because what they're competing with is, like we mentioned, your own devices. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone has a Switch or a Steam Deck or a phone or an iPad or a laptop that they're always carrying around with them. And so what do we do to get them to engage with our content so that we can sell them ads and like SkyMall shit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like even if like it's a flight where like you're watching something just on your phone via like the plane's Wi-Fi, like you're still getting into the plane's that company's ecosystem by logging into the Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting fully involved with like what they have to offer there, and like like I truly love the idea that like like countries and airlines like here's what the national sample is of like what we have to offer, rather than just
Yeah.
be like the exact same shit you're gonna see on Netflix all the time, like the top rated thing ever.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I really think that like without like airplane movies, I probably wouldn't have as broad of an appreciation for like cinema,
That's
honestly,
cool.
because it's, to be honest, it's one of the few times that I feel like I've had enough time to like sit down and watch a movie uninterrupted. Like it's pretty hard for me to,
And also with like
yeah,
watching things when you're commuting, anyway, like it's like you don't feel guilty doing it because like what else
right.
you're gonna do? You have time. You have time. You're supposed to be eating up. So like, why not watch the movie? Like, why not watch something that's pretty long? Like, I don't. For me, like, I personally prefer watching a couple short movies rather than like one super long movie
Hmm.
when, on a flight because I feel like just like crunching through more things.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely. They did talk, the article also talked about like how because you're not doing anything else, like people are willing to take more shots on things. So, they have all your seat data and like your demographic data. And one of the airline executives that they interviewed was like saying, "Oh yeah, like we picked up Barbie because it's a big blockbuster. I had the whole Barbenheimer thing, like
Hmm.
so whatever. It's like a big selling point is you get on the plane. It's like, oh, you can watch Barbie, and like based off the seat data, the people who watched it most were like these like male business travelers who the movie is like very much lampooning.
Yeah.
Um, but like I think it really is great. Like, I'm not gonna say democratizes truly because like air travel's gotten a lot cheaper, but I still think like it's still kind of a barrier to entry based off class. But I think it is exposing a lot of people to movies they wouldn't have otherwise watched or otherwise seen,
Hmm.
which is partially why it's special. Sometimes it's not so good. Like a lot of people watched Cats apparently on
Well,
planes.
Cats rules. So
um,
what a fucking nightmare being on a flight or being like a 9-year-old kid looking over and seeing Rebel Wilson as Jenny Annie Dots like ripping open like zipping open her cat's fursuit like vile
yeah,
disgusting shit like
just fucking insane movie. But
I
like,
was if I saw cats on a plane I'd probably open up like the emergency exit like, that's
I'd
not
be
the
like,
ideal space to watch cats.
yeah. But like because everyone heard it was dog shit. Also, Morbius was on the planes and like Madam Web and shit.
Mm.
And so like
Her web connects them all.
yeah, her web connects everyone on this plane. They should have made everyone watch Madam Web like just by force. It would have been really funny.
That's the thing, they don't have that anymore where they have like the big screens in the middle where everyone's watching the exact same movie
Yeah.
like as a communal experience. Like the only communal experience you're really going to get is going to be like a sports event, like you mentioned before, like where like, we're
Hmm.
just having to watching the same stream. But like, I doubt it's going to happen again where you have everyone just watching the exact same screen, and like, I don't know. I imagine like that's not for me. That's not the ideal way to watch a movie because like when I go to the theater and everyone's watching the same screen half the time, like people are like barely paying attention anyway, like on their phone anyway. Like in the plane, of course, a lot of people are going to be doing that because like they had to go to the washroom, they have a screaming kid or something like that. It's not. I don't think a plane's ever gonna be the most ideal place to watch a movie for the first time. But considering the circumstance, it's probably gonna be a great way to discover cinema if you have that kind of mind.
Yeah, I really think like if you get on planes a lot and you take one thing away from this episode, it's that you should dive into the catalogs instead of just pulling up the blockbusters and like catching up on whatever MCU slop you missed.
Exactly,
Because
yeah.
a lot of airlines have some really cool things that are just there waiting for you to explore.
Mhm.
And it's good for them because they quote unquote pad out their catalogs for cheap, but it's also good for you because it really broadens your horizons. And I know I was joking about watching Tar on a plane, but you can still get the skeleton of it.
Mhm.
Honestly, like plane screens aren't bad nowadays. Like, unless you're on a really old plane.
Did you watch
like,
on a plane?
Yeah, I did. I actually did. I watched it on the plane back from London,
Cool.
like London, UK. Yeah, like I know I didn't get the full experience, and I've gone back and rewatched movies like on like my nice TV after like that I watched on planes. Like I did that with Tar, I did that with Asteroid City. Like movies that I knew like, okay, yeah, this is good, and I need to like experience it like properly.
Yeah.
But
it's better to have watched a movie than not watch it at all, in my opinion.
Right,
so.
Exactly. And you know, it's just time that you're sitting there, and so you might as well take a shot with something you wouldn't otherwise watch. Like if you're a male business traveler, you know, take a shot at Barbie, or like if all you've experienced is like Western cinema, and you find yourself on a flight to Japan or Korea or whatever, like I highly recommend like exploring that country's like cinema that the airline has to offer, because you will truly find some hidden gems even beyond what makes it here. So like that movie Victory I was talking about is actually a really good movie. I don't know if it has a US distributor or not. I think it might have done the festival circuit, and I don't know if it got picked up or not.
Yeah.
It's this really charming movie about like a couple of high school girls in a smaller city, like a smaller coastal shipbuilding city in South Korea, who want to be K-pop dancers in the late 90s. So this is before like K-pop went international. It was really like still like a very localized thing. But because the kids are kind of like screw-ups and like slackers, they weren't really allowed to make this like club in their school. But then this new kid arrives, and she's really into cheerleading, and so they like get her to cover for them to like form this cheerleading club for their soccer team. And they kind of con the like principal of the school, because the principal, like there's this great scene where like he's on the phone talking and he's saying like, oh, I don't care about soccer, you know, it's just good for the kids to go out there and have fun. And he's like wearing soccer cleats and has like all this old soccer paraphernalia from his playing days. And it's like, you know, showing that like, no, this guy really gives a shit about soccer and wants to win. But they kind of foreshadow that by like, then the girls are like, no, we really need, like, if we cheer, then it makes the soccer players play better and they'll win more games. And then it becomes this like, they recruit a bunch of like misfit, very like ensemble cast of like people to join their club. And it's this really cute, charming movie as you watch like the two original girls who think they're above like the corny, lame, cringe cheerleading, like buy in and like find like the sisterhood and like,
so it seems like
have like
pretty,
make
like,
friends.
You know,
It's
kind of a light, nice movie, perfect to watch on a plane.
Yeah,
and like, also like with a sense of discovery as well. Like I was talking, like I looked it up on looking up Letterboxd, saw your review first off. I also saw that it's playing on Tubi in Canada.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah.
But the thing is, like, it's so hard. It's so easy for movies to slip into like a streaming nothingness. Like if you go on Tubi, there's a trillion options of movies to watch. If you go on Netflix, there's a trillion options of movies to watch. But if you're on a flight, there's limited options, right? More limited options. So like you have to like kind of like, you know, someone curated that, and the curation is so nice and useful to actually decide to actually watch something.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's going to be stinkers. Like
100%. Always is, yeah.
Yeah, there's always is. But I really think, especially when it comes to their national things, that they're like, they do seem to put care, and they want to put their best foot forward because
cultural pride.
Yeah, well, it's cultural pride, it's national pride, and they really do. This is like especially for like, I'm thinking Air France, I'm thinking KLM, I'm thinking EVA and ANA. Like these like big national airlines are like, for a lot of them, this is their connection to like the world, like global culture. If that makes sense. Because a lot of them will offer cheap. Well, they will undercut like American Airlines. Like it was cheaper for us to fly like EVA versus, you know, United, for example. And so, yeah, I've basically like I know travel is a very like class gated thing. But even if you're flying domestically, like travel opens your horizons to so many things, and in that it opens you up to a new world of cinema.
Yeah, and like Also, it's like, Delta Airlines, America's already won the cultural wars overall internationally, so like, what do they have to prove? Like,
Right. That's why they can just put Paramount Plus on there and be like, fuck you.
yeah, that's good enough for us. You're gonna watch the new season of Dexter whether you like it or not.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, Delta had a better like selection than United, I remember. But yeah, like I think Delta is sort of a bad example because I think they do have put a little more thought in. They have some more like international connected things based off their destinations. But yeah, no, it is still like when you get on there, they're not highlighting their international selections. They're
No.
saying "fuck you," watch the new season of Dexter.
Actually, the new season of Dexter is actually really good.
Oh, is it really? Haven't seen it yet.
I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up Delta's like in-flight entertainment like as we speak. Because I had like EVA and like ANA's. Oh yeah, I see. Delta's doing like a Hispanic Heritage Month right now.
Mhm.
Like, or has their collection like set up. So that's pretty cool. They have a pretty decent selection of like Latin American, Spanish cinema, and also like Latin, like Latino American, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like they have like Coco and Encanto, sure, but they also have like La Misma Luna, and they have the Selena biopic and
Mhm.
Colors of the Mountain, La Suprema. They do have some pretty cool stuff highlighted. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's an exciting thing and something that I always am excited when I get on. The other thing I'll say is back to like when I was talking about how they are evolving their offering is they're really trying to meet people where you are. So there's this whole thing of like airline headphones always suck because they have the stupid connector. They're starting to add like Bluetooth support because everyone has AirPods or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like you can plug your own like headphones in, which is good. Less waste.
100%. Yeah.
And your headphones are always better than what they have. But yeah, some of the stuff like even in economy, they're doing like bigger, like almost laptop or iPad at least size screens. In business class and first class, like some of them are full on TVs. Like I know some airline, it's probably like one of the Middle Eastern airlines is installing like 40-inch screens or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're stepping up their game. We're pretty far removed. Like if you haven't flown in a really long time, we're really far removed from the days of like the fuzzy ass, like really crummy, like resistive touch screens and like you can actually watch a movie and appreciate it now. You're not like squinting trying to figure out like who's what. Like you can see
Trying
like
to see the person can like close the window so you can not get the glare on your screen.
yeah, exactly. It's really like I think like airplane food still sucks, but airplane movies are really come a long way, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's just like it's so fascinating because we go, back to where we were with airplane, where like, it is like just the one screen you have in a plane, and it's like such like probably wasn't such a marvel back in the day, where it's like it's so hard to like actually sit down and watch a movie, and a lot of movies that would play like on an airplane would be ones that were in theaters, but like they have not come on home video yet. So like this is the one we can watch on like before like some of your friends in like school or work or something.
I've seen 2/3 of Premium Rush that way because it was like one of the last like flights on United on like some ancient 767 before it got like redone, and it was the big screens in the middle of the aisles, and it was like they announced it like when they did their safety briefing, like, all right, you have to watch the safety video, and then here the food options are steak or fish.
Yep.
And
Fish.
the movie today is Premium Rush.
Yeah.
So I've seen part of Premium Rush because I also fell asleep, and there's no rewinding when it's communal. So
No,
you fall asleep,
not.
you just have no idea what happened for half the movie.
I think the big thing too is like the fact that the times when like the time it takes for a movie to be in theaters to home video is so short now.
Mhm.
Like they overlap. Like you can still see Superman in the theater, but you can still see Superman's been out for rent for like a few weeks now. So like airplanes kind of like fill this one weird niche where you could watch a movie where it's not quite on home video yet, because it used to take months for movies to come on home video.
Yeah.
Because they actually want movies to actually play for longer in theaters, but with the demand of streaming and like all these options at home, like they want to keep the audience's attention. Like you hear it was in the theaters, you're gonna hear about it at home because like otherwise people are gonna forget about it again.
Right. Yeah, and like Sinners was an anomaly because they didn't even have it on my flights. Like because it was still doing its theatrical run.
Hmm.
Like that one kind of took off like so insanely. I don't think anyone expected it to be as smash of a hit as it was,
Not as
but
big as it
like
was now.
like that one is like one of the last true like old school blockbusters as far as like how it ended up getting released with like the whole IMAX and the extended theatrical run that they kept extending
Hmm.
before it came to streaming. I think it's now finally on like HBO or
It
something.
is, yeah. I've seen people like
Um,
share like shitty photos on Twitter about it. So
but yeah, I think it's like I see it on Delta's offering now, I think. But yeah, like other than that, like I watched the new Captain America. Sorry, I caught up on the shitty MCU slop
oh, I'm
on my
caught up
flight.
too. Don't worry. I kind of
Yeah.
like Brave New World.
Um,
It has a Red Hulk in it.
it has the red. Honestly, that movie was this movie. We're not talking about this movie. We're not talking about the MCU. Although I would unpack the MCU with you at some point. Um, is that movie got done so dirty by its marketing? To be honest.
Yeah, because they had nothing to go in the first half. It's like, oh, there's a Red Hulk at the end. Come see it, please.
Yeah. But yeah, like so I did catch up on that, and there were a bunch of other blockbusters. Like Novocaine was pretty heavily advertised on TV.
Mhm.
I only know what gets advertised on TV because I watch sports like football.
100%.
um,
Yeah.
like I think Novocaine was one. Another one that was Ballerina, I think is on there now. Friendship. I don't know if that one really counts as a blockbuster, but it's at least a relatively new movie. The live action Lilo and Stitch, which disgusts me.
Mhm.
You know, so they're still doing that to an extent. It's just obviously with everyone streaming and everyone pushing streaming so hard, it's just less
It's just
apparent.
a constant everyone trying to capture your attention. And I
Mhm,
feel
for
like
sure.
that. Yeah, like it just. Yeah. Where am I going with this? Like, I feel like with like. Yeah, I feel like streaming is such an interesting thing that I feel like the airlines had to compete with it in some way. Like they had to
Right,
do a great
because
selection. They had to do something to like kind of like get you into their ecosystem, you into their Wi-Fi, you so you can get into their SkyMall, get into their in-flight videos, get into like their food menu options.
yeah,
So
for
it's
sure.
interesting how
Well,
they've adapted because like I don't fly that often, so like I'm not really seeing a lot of it change over time. But it's so different than it was back 20 years ago, where
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean like streaming and having everyone having streaming on their devices that you can just download with the right plan. Like, oh, I'm just gonna save an entire like season of Dexter,
Exactly.
right? Like to watch on the plane is so now they have to do something to differentiate themselves to compete with that because for literally like 100, well, not 100 years for Empire Entertainment, but for like 50 years, they were the only game in town. So if you either you brought a book
Mhm.
or you brought like
Or-
one of those shitty DVD players,
Oh yeah,
right? Or like a deck of playing cards, or you just watched whatever they had, and so they could kind of just stick whatever in
Yeah.
front of you and be like, "What are you gonna do? Not watch Premium Rush?"
Yeah.
But
Well, you could
movie's
also
fine, by the way.
you always like raw dog a flight too and listen to nothing and read nothing.
Yeah, that's not me, but
That shouldn't be anyone. That's
yeah.
too much time with your own thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it really has meant that there has been a drastic increase in quality in your average airplane movie.
Hmm.
Like, even from when I was a kid, like, there was a lot of, like, just bullshit that you would have to watch.
Probably like the idea of an airplane movie in general is not really much of a concept anymore because it's just a movie now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there are still movies, like, I would say, like, well, obviously, Bullet Train was the one I came up with. I'm trying to think what else would be good. Sonic the Hedgehogs. The three Sonic movies are
Oh yeah,
great
those
airplane
those
movies.
for an airplane. Yeah, I kind of like I see blockbusters you don't really give a shit about, but like it'd be kind of fun just like know what your nephew's up to. Like,
Yeah, Minecraft.
Mhm.
I swear to God, I watched a kid watch Minecraft like 2 or 3 times on a flight.
oh my god,
This most recent. And
That's
by the
bad.
way, thank God we have our own screens that the whole plane wasn't subjected to the Minecraft
That's
sing
true too.
along.
You don't have to watch the worst things ever because like you can just watch whatever you want now. So it's probably gonna be less infuriating because like probably there's nothing worse than being on a long flight that's shitty with like bad people around you, and then having to watch the shittiest fucking movie at the same time,
Yeah.
like eating bad fish and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I'm eating bad fish, I'm watching Australia, and I'm dealing with a screaming child. Like,
oh, the
that
worst.
sounds like my idea of hell. I think you brought up Secret Life of Walter Mitty is currently on Delta, and you brought that up as a great airplane movie
Yep, that's a
at one
pretty
point.
solid one too.
Yeah.
Like nice, like hour 50 long, hour 40-minute long. Just movie about just some guy, some decent visuals. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it might
It's
change.
ideal. It
It
looks
might
good
change.
enough.
It might be empowering to your aunt if you want to show it to her or something like that. But it's not gonna be like rock
Yeah.
your world. But it's just good enough.
Yeah. I think I watched Life of Pi on a plane, and this might be a hot take, but that was a pretty solid, like, airplane movie.
Yeah. Probably not the best way to get the visuals, but yeah, it's material wise makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, no, I mean, I know we're going long and I want to be mindful of your time,
Yeah.
but the last thing I did want to bring up
This
is,
episode was like 9/10. We go with the airplane for like 9/10 of the plot. Then we stop for like 40 minutes to talk about airplane movies. Then
Yeah.
we go back to the plot eventually.
the last thing is based off like explosions and like that sort of thing is like the airplane safety movies. They're also, because like we said, they're competing with so many like ways to get your attention, and there's still so many more first time flyers
Mhm.
that they need something to like grab you. And so the new thing is like, actually I don't think it's that new, but like a relatively new thing I want to say, or they really stepped it up, I should say, is like airplane safety video gimmicks. I know I'm going to get like someone's going to drop an angry letter in your mailbag saying, well, we've done airplane safety video gimmicks since the 70s. From my recollection, I think they've stepped up their game. So ones that I collected were Delta's doing their 100-year anniversary. So theirs is like historical, like uniform themed. They have like people giving the spiel, but you're watching to see like how the uniform changes, and they're also like changing like, the costuming and stuff for everyone else to be like decades themes. EVA is like a weird James Bond knockoff.
That's cool.
The guy, like, I think I can probably find it on YouTube and you can put it in the notes because you kind of have to see it to believe it.
Mhm.
Where they have this like guy who's like, all right, listen up, this is your mission and this is like blah blah blah, there is X number of exits on this plane, whatever. ANA is Pokemon themed, so there's like creepy CGI like Detective Pikachu ass Pokemon floating around like the plane and doing all the shit. Yeah, they're trying to like, because it's the first time that they've had competition for your attention, and so they need to change something. And also, airlines in general are having so much more competition. I know it doesn't feel this way, but I actually really do think we're in like a second golden age of air travel right now, because it's so democratized, and like the fact that you can get a flight from the east coast of North America to Europe for like $500 round trip nowadays.
Yeah.
Opens up so many possibilities to see the world for so many more people. And also there is an arms race in the front of the plane. So if are ever fortunate enough to be in the front, like it is insane. Like they have full beds with like turn down service and like 40-inch 4K TVs. And like they'll serve you caviar and champagne and shit. And so it's like, if you've ever wanted to know what air travel at like the 60s was like, you just fly first class nowadays. Like it's pretty similar, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's actually probably better because no one's smoking.
Oh god, yeah.
So from that like perspective, like that still exists. You gotta pay, you're paying for it, or you like have like a shit ton of frequent flyer miles ordered for it. But like the way it's opened up so many more possibilities means that you're opening more and more like options for people to broaden their horizons culturally, both literally, physically, but also like when it comes to stuff like cinema and music and TV. So I think it is beautiful. I think in general, I'm also guilty of this because flying does suck, admittedly, but like I think we're maybe a little cynical on or maybe being a little cynical on how flying is now because, like, yeah, the seats are small and uncomfortable, but at least more people are getting to travel, and that's a
That's true.
beautiful
That's a
thing
nice
in
way to
my
look at it.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can finish up the movie now
Yeah.
because
Um,
I gave my spiel.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, no, seriously,
Yeah,
like, you want to talk about airplane movies, we talk about movies and airplanes. It's awesome.
yeah.
No, it's great. One last thing to talk about, we're talking about in-flight movies. One of my favorite facts about in-flight movie is that Hayao Miyazaki's Porco Rosso started off as a what I forget what Japanese airline it was, but they commissioned him like, hey, can you do like a little short film for us for an in-flight movie, like training video or like not training video, but like an in-flight movie, just like like welcome to the airline. And so he did that, and he's like, I like this premise, so he expanded to a full feature film.
Nice.
So Porco Rosso was started off as its life as an in-flight movie, and then just became like, we're gonna make a really cool movie about fascism.
Miyazaki's so cool. He's so real for that.
He's the best.
Yeah, it was JAL. I just checked. So
Okay.
yeah, which is the flag carrier of Japan. So that makes sense.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, that actually was released on the planes before it was released in theaters. So that's
so
pretty cool.
They should like
Yeah.
release like I don't know like the next like Paul Thomas Anderson movie on a flight instead of a
Yeah.
theater.
Damn, I wish we knew about that. We could have done this movie as the lead-in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. Okay, I'm reading about it because I've never actually seen this one. So yeah, cool. This one's sick as hell. This is going on the watch list.
Porco Rosso.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's great. Love it.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones I've seen. I always do like Japanese voice first. I've done listen to Japanese voice as well as done the English dub, which has Michael Keaton as Porco Rosso, or
Nice.
whatever the lead guy's name is. And then the French dub is Jean Reno as the lead. He's a lot of fun too.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie, really good. Absolutely recommend checking it out.
Yeah. I always love, as an aside, you can probably cut this out. I do love the um English dubs of Ghibli movies because I think Ghibli explicitly sees a lot of the dubs.
Mhm.
And so they make sure that it's its own thing. And I think Miyazaki himself has said that yeah, watch the dub. I want you to experience it in your native language so that you
I
experience both the dialogue with the cinema. It's yeah, if you should get over reading subtitles,
I
but also watch the background. Look how beautifully animated it is.
So with that quote there you said about you should watch it whatever language you want, I've never been able to find a source on it.
Okay.
So I'm not
You
sure
can
it's
cut it
actually
anyway.
good,
This is
but-
not really that relevant.
Yeah. But no, I love talking about this stuff because I find dub stuff so fascinating because
Yeah.
he's also I think the studio pays attention to the dubs and stuff, but he does not overall. He does not really care about it. But
That makes sense.
there's
I
one
mean,
funny story where it's for Howl's Moving Castle. Once he found out Lauren Bacall was going to be voicing the lead in the movie, he specifically flew over to sit beside her for the premiere in North America.
aw, that's
He
cute.
found out pretty late in the process, though, so I'm not sure he actually follows. He is actually very involved with the dub casting because
He's a busy man. I can't imagine he would be, but
he's a busy man. He's a cynic. I don't think he really, but also he, I feel a lot of people think English is going to be the most important language, but there's so many other countries in the world that why would you really care that much about this one language? It's kind of when in Metal Gear Solid when David Hayter was replaced by Kiefer Sutherland, everyone was so upset in the West, but at the same time it was to Hideo Kojima, David Hayter is just some guy dubbing in a different language. It's not
Yeah.
the character to him.
yeah, absolutely. I think they do they probably have because they're such a big studio for global distribution. I would bet they have a dub office where they work with local distributors to produce the
100%,
dubs.
yeah.
I cannot imagine that he does that personally.
Yeah. Well, because there was that one disastrous dub for Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, was it the Weinstein Company did, where they cut it down. It's called Warriors of the Wind.
Oh,
It was
yes.
half an hour shorter. He hated it so much that the movie didn't get true distribution for a while there. And then was it Princess Mononoke where I think it's Princess Mononoke that Weinstein had distribution, so he wanted to make some cuts for the movie. And then Miyazaki sent Harvey Weinstein a katana, threatening him to do no cuts to the movie, or else I'll like kill you.
Went through with it.
That'd been so fucking good.
Yeah, would have fucking saved a lot of people out of pain, man.
I know, right? All right, well, we should probably wrap around back to Airplane.
Yeah, we should wrap around back to Airplane. Fun tangent. I can't imagine that makes the final cut.
We'll see. Yeah, I'll see what the timing works out for it.
Yeah, okay, we're 2 hours in, so
yeah. We'll see. I'll see. This is gonna be the longest episode for sure. So
yeah.
All right. So back to the where are we? So we're back. We're rewinding. So they're ready to land the plane finally. So Leslie Nielsen comes in, and he says for the first of 3 times, just want to say good luck. We're all counting on you. He comes like different points in time, like the start of it, in the middle when about to land the plane, and right immediately when they actually probably land the plane.
Yeah,
Leslie delivers like a complete robot each time. It's so funny.
It's great. It's awesome. It's my favorite line delivery from him. Like even more so than the like "Don't call me Shirley," which is the classic line, but like just the deadpan of like the like Ted and Elaine are celebrating in the cockpit. They're like, we did it, and then he just pops in and interrupts the celebration. It's great. I love it.
So so he's trying to land the plane. We get that great gift of Robert Hayes as Ted. He's like sweating and everything. You see like, in GIFs a lot in GIF form. So the plane lands, loses its wheels, comes to a very sparkly stop on the ground. Great model work. Everyone is happy, of course. So like Kramer congratulates Ted Stryker on the lousy landing, wants to buy him a drink and shake his hand, which is dialogue right from 0 Hour. So everyone is hopping off the plane on the inflatable slide. You know, the flight attendant tells them like, "Thanks for flying Transamerica."
Yeah.
And apparently Transamerican was a real airline, but they flew cargo, not a commercial flight, so they were able to get away with using it as a name.
Interesting, because it makes sense as like a spoof of like a combo TWA and Pan Am, because that's the biggest airlines at the time. But yeah, that's really like funny. A real airline,
yeah.
Yeah.
And so Ted and Elaine, they kiss on the runway. The music begins to swell. She respects him finally. He's getting back to his confidence finally. They look back at the plane. Otto, the autopilot, salutes them, and the plane starts taking off in the plane. The very busted plane, and a lady inflatable pops up beside him, and then he just winks at the camera and it says "the end."
Yeah,
as the plane takes off and flies away.
So good. It might be. I don't know if it's my favorite movie of all time. It's not, unfortunately, in my top 4. I think it's like 5 because it's not barely out of my top 4. I should rotate it back in though. Especially in honor of this episode, I can rotate something out for a bit. But yeah, it's fucking fantastic. It is just a brilliant movie. I think like as far as Laughs Per Minute go, it is up there with like any other movie ever made.
It's just so quick. The humor's so fast, and like it's like blink and you miss humor. There's so many great visual gags. Like it's wonderful, and like it wasn't an immediate hit. Audiences loved it right away. So it premiered in Toronto and Buffalo on the same day. Apparently, the Toronto audiences loved it more than the Buffalo audiences.
Well, because apparently you guys love your plane crashes.
Apparently, yeah. And critics were warm about the movie, but not as warm as they are now about it. They really enjoyed it, and they liked the fact they deflated the self-serious disaster genre, which was like very tired at this point. Roger Ebert wrote his review like, Airplane is sophomoric, obvious, predictable, corny, and quite often very funny. And the reason it's funny is frequently because it's sophomoric, predictable, corny, etc.
Yeah, no, I actually completely agree. Like, Ebert's one of the greatest. I don't necessarily agree with everything he's ever said, but that like pretty much nails it. Like, because it's willing and able to play like a lot of the predictable, the corny, the stupid tropes straight. Like, it means that like the more surreal things put into contrast, like how not out of place this is in like the like normal boilerplate disaster movie stuff is like not out of place with just insane bullshit around it. So it's like, look how stupid this genre is.
Yeah, it's great, and like because of Airplane, it really jumpstarted the spoof genre yet again. Leslie Nielsen's career was changed forever, and he would spend the rest of his career being in comedies. Like, I don't think he really did any dramas really afterwards.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned before, Nielsen worked with Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker again for the TV show Police Squad,
Hmm.
which lasted 6 episodes, but then they got the big screen adaptation, which was Naked Gun,
Yeah.
which is a huge success and got 2 sequels, and we got a new one with Liam Neeson this summer.
Which Liam Neeson's like the perfect like successor to
100%, yeah.
Leslie Nielsen, in my opinion. Yeah.
He's so funny. Very similar kind of serious reputation, thanks to all the Taken movies. Like he's
Hmm.
known as a serious guy, but like he has comedic chops, and he very good with the comic deliveries.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker, they also would do other spoof movies like Top Secret. They did Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2, which are both really fun. Um, Spoof genre kind of sputtered around for the 90s for a little bit. You get things like I feel like some meta movies like Scream kind of took some of its lunch too. But we get Scary Movie, which were a success for a bit. But we can really blame the spoof movies dying on Jason Friedman and Aaron Seltzer. They're the ones that did stuff like Epic Movie, Date Movie, and Superhero Movie, Meet the Spartans, that kind of shit. Which are like some of the worst movies ever
Just
made.
total fucking slop. Like the equivalent of movie shovelware, really.
Yeah, because what they did was they would watch the trailer for a movie that came like a year before it, and they would make all the jokes just from the trailer for what they're spoofing. And by the time the movie comes out, it's been like, well, the movie's been out for a long time. Where these jokes are so tired nowadays. Mad Magazine's been cracking the same jokes like a year ago. Like, very ran to the ground. So like, spoof movies are pretty much died for a while. And I think we talked about a fair amount before. Like, could an MCU spoof movie happen truly? But like, I'm not sure if it can with like the way the internet kind of works things too fast now. I'm just not sure it could happen.
And also, I think a lot of those spoof movies died. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but like, I really think like YouTube poops, stuff like Honest Trailers or like that sort of thing, have really eaten their lunch. Like you mentioned, like all those were just based off of like trailers, while like Honest Trailers just does the same shit but better and tighter.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, okay, or they did. I don't know if they're still making it anymore, but like,
sure.
yeah, like that's something that like two guys could do in a week, bang out a script in a week and hop on a mic and record it. And so now it's like, what's the point of these spoof movies? Because also nowadays with TikTokers, like they're doing whole ass skits and stuff. Like TikTokers and YouTubers are doing these basically sketch comedy, like troops in the vein of like Key and Peele and Way as Kids You Know.
Like they hire like I'm blanking on her name right now, but she's Canadian. She just got hired to SNL as like a featured cast member because of her TikTok sketch comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know who you're talking about. I don't remember her name either. But yeah, like it's Jesus Christ, I just looked at the cast of this superhero movie. This has fucking Leslie Nielsen in it and was produced by one of the Zuckers.
Oh, that sucks so much. That was awful.
Yeah, no, like it's probably great. Like I think the theme is sort of like democratization for today's episode. It was like where this means that the spook movie's kind of dead because anyone who has ever, or like Mystery Science Theater 3000, like anyone can do that nowadays.
Yeah.
Where they like kind of just film themselves making fun of movies. I kind of hate to say it, but a lot of this form kind of started with, or took off, I should say. Not started, but took off with like Nostalgia Critic and Channel Awesome. I know they have their problems, and I know they haven't really evolved their like craft since they started, but you really do give them credit for spawning like the new generation of like internet quote unquote critics and also internet like spoofers. Like they also did like 3-second movies, which was like kind of like,
oh yes, that was so funny.
Yeah, the fucking Titanic one is still like
can't sink.
Splash. It's just like
Celine Dion song.
Yeah, that is like comedic masterpiece. Yeah, he actually did have some bangers early on. But yeah, what like I think that that sort of thing taking off really killed the parody genre because you don't need fucking superhero movie costs $35 million to make. Like Doug Walker did that with $100 in a cave with a box of scraps, right? Like we don't need this sort of like, what is the point of blowing $35 million on Drake Bell and Leslie Nielsen and Kevin Hart to like do this, make literally something just as shitty as what five dudes in Chicago are making in like their garage.
Exactly.
So, and also there's like fucking superhero movies so bad that like, yes, even the worst nostalgia critic picks like quote unquote movies are better than it.
But also, like a movie like that, like they don't even try to hire like good talent for it. Like there's not
Yeah.
the intention. It's just like I don't know what the intention were. Like those are some of the like legit some of the worst movies ever made. Like they are just so unwatchably bad. Like
And they're like so they're so cynical.
yeah,
Like I know we kind
they
of
don't love the movies they're watching, and they're not even that big fans of comedy in general.
right where
It's just punching down, but like
Airplane, like, yeah, it's punching down. Whereas, like, a superhero movie came out in '08. This is literally right before Iron Man came out. Like, this could not have been a worse timed spoof movie.
absolutely not. Yeah,
Because this was in
Iron
the
Man and
era
Dark
of,
Knight same year.
yeah. Oh my God, yeah. And then fucking this came out right before those did. And you're, like, punching down on, what? Fox X-Men and Fantastic Four and,
Yeah.
like, what? Maybe the Raimi Spider-Man movies? Like,
Mhm.
those are the best of the superhero movies that came out recently. And so like that's punching down versus Airplane is like very much taking advantage of this like behemoth of a genre.
Yeah. So like yeah, we got your thoughts on spoof movies, but what are your final thoughts on Airplane?
Oh, I mean, I loved it. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think like it along with like The Simpsons really shaped a lot of my like sense of humor
Mm-hmm.
truly because of like that sort of deadpan, almost absurdist like comedy. Like being like a really big fan of that. And yeah, just this isn't like I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's a cinematic masterpiece because like as far as like the actual like form and production goes, we're not doing anything groundbreaking here. Like it's not like the most that the cinematography is in service of jokes. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
got a ton of visual gags. It's got a ton of like it's well shot. It's shot to the point where it doesn't get in the way of the comedy.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like
It's jokes first, which is what
yeah.
which I think is the thing works best with Airplane is that it's jokes first. Like they took a very like they took 0 hour, they just add a lot of jokes with it. So they weren't even trying to craft a brilliant plot because they had like a good enough plot, and they just added a million jokes they possibly could to it.
Yeah. And I think it's really a job well done. Like what I really appreciate that they had a job and they set out to do and they nailed it and they created as good of a comedy as they could have gotten, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I really respect that.
Yeah, like Airplane for me is just like it is a classic comedy for me. I absolutely love it. Like I always have fun going back to it. It's a blast going back to it this time. It's a blast going back to it, just write down some notes for it. Yeah, so if you have not checked out Airplane, I'm insane.
Sorry.
You're gonna listen to an episode of a podcast that's longer than Airplane, so go back and watch Airplane.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, that's also the best part is it's a tight 90. It's not even
short,
90
it's
minutes.
great,
It's
it's
like an
that
hour
fun.
20.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, it's a good short comedy. We need more of those.
And the thing is like it goes by fast, but it also like it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it also doesn't feel like overly short either. So,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
not
like
you're getting the good bang for your buck.
yeah,
Yeah, so
very Simpsons-esque in that way, where you don't realize Simpsons episodes are only 22 minutes or whatever. So,
exactly, yeah. All right,
yeah.
Anna, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This
Oh,
was so much
fantastic.
fun.
Yeah, thank you for bringing all this
Um,
research with you. That was a really fascinating discussion about airplane movies in general.
Yeah, it's great. If you want more of my hyperfixations, you can follow me on Instagram or Letterboxd.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
send me those your send me your handles or send me your social media, and I'll put them in the episode links.
Yeah, that would be probably the best plug. I don't have cool plugs. As of recording, Caleb's episode came out today, and I don't have as cool things to plug as him, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Go listen to his stuff. How about that?
Yeah,
That's my plug.
Right. Yeah, so follow me on social media at bwishart on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. I will. At this point, I've already been at TIFF and returned from TIFF now, so I'll have a lot of thoughts on TIFF as a festival that I post on social media, and I'll probably be doing a TIFF episode at some point, a recap episode in some format. Might have a guest on. Not sure about that yet. No promises yet, but I'll try and figure that out as I go along. Give MoviePod a follow on Twitter and Blue Sky. Please also send more emails to the mailbag at moviepodmailbag@gmail.com. And next week, I'm going to be watching a movie I've never actually seen before, and I don't think most people have seen at all or even heard of. So I'm being exposed to a film called Ultramarines, a Warhammer 40,000 movie by my friend Braden. I know dick all about Warhammer, and he knows a ton about it. So, Anna, do you know anything about Warhammer?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I've never heard of this movie in my life.
Yeah, so he picked this because Terrence Stamp is in it. He's the lead voice, and he just passed away.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's some animated Warhammer thing, and it's just Warhammer's this thing that I just know nothing about. So it'd be fascinating to see someone kind of just tell me what I don't know, a space marine is versus an orc or something.
Yeah, I know the basics, and I know that people spend a lot of money on it. So
yep, a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, enjoy that.
I'm excited about it because I'm excited to watch a movie I've never seen before for this podcast and take scrupulously notes about it. Until next week, listener, we're all going to be enduring some Warhammer. Take care.